Hey, it's the Redeye stream number 178. Let's talk about libertarians. All right, MC, I saw your little fucking rant. You think we're frauds, we're phonies, we're fakes, all we care about is marijuana. No, all right, okay. So a certain portion of the Libertarian Party has been co-opted by what I call leftitarians. These are libertarians that are mainly Democrats in disguise, a wolf in sheep's clothing. But you also have the whole other side of the Libertarian Party. You have what we call, the Mises Institute. I don't know. Judge Andrew Napolitano, you think he smokes a lot of weed? I fucking doubt it. How about Tom Woods, a historian who actually rebuts a lot of even the left libertarian standpoints? Austin Peterson, he jumped over to the Republicans to run in Missouri. He lost. But the fact remains, you have a right-leaning wing to the Libertarian Party. You have people that will lead and have. You have Ron Paul. You have Rand Paul. You have a lot of libertarians that are the little L, not the big L. What you're talking about is the ilk like the fucking Libertarian Party chairman. Fuck that guy. I agree with you. But it is not the whole of the Libertarian Party. And it is the fastest growing party in America. So really, we're failing. We're frauds. We're not leading. Okay, the chairman is a piece of shit, like I said, but I do feel like the Libertarian Party is gaining advances. And I think you fail to realize that. And your idea of a convention of states, as I've said fucking before, sir, will fucking fail. It will burn. You have fucking New York, California, and all these other states that will send representatives that will throw their shit in there. Do you enjoy the Second Amendment? Do you want to keep it, sir? I mean, I thought you did. You're fucking the guy from Gran Torino, right? On the fucking porch with the gun. Get off my lawn, zipperhead. That's you, right? What the fuck, man? Like, seriously, I think you are just taking your rage out on libertarians for absolutely the wrong reasons. I think your side of the fence should try and co-opt the party as well and work with us. And we do have some representatives. A guy in Utah flopped over to the Libertarian Party not that long ago. So, man, I don't really get your point, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce the panel here. We got Sherardi. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. This should be a blast. Anyone tweeted MC yet? We really need him here.
Why? Why? So you can call me a zipperhead? No, I'm kidding. I don't. All right. What's up, Jensen? How are you doing tonight over at your area?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you, sir. I'm just here to watch the fun and mop up the blood afterwards.
And memes are centrist. Are you going to be the referee tonight when MC finally does show up? Because he will. We're friends. He'll show up. I'm not calling him a fucking dickhead. I'm just saying his ideas are shite on that video.
I like librarians. And I thought MC was from Kansas.
Hey, Tema, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Hey, hon.
Hi. How's everybody?
Oh, I'm good. And Pinoid. Last I checked, Oregon was not Canada, sir. There's actually a state above us. If you looked at the map, it's called Washington. Yeah, that thing that they had on the wall at school. Maybe you should look at it again.
He's a truck driver. All these states kind of start to blend together for him, I think.
But no, I want to talk about the Libertarian Party, and I want MC to show up and argue with me. It should be fun. I enjoy arguing with MC. The thing is, though, the Libertarian Party has been slightly co-opted, as I said in my beginning rant, by the leftist individuals coming into the party. The party chairman, fucking, what's his fucking douchebag name? I don't even like him, so I forgot. Like, fuck that guy. He is a fucking lefty, and maybe all he cares about is marijuana, perhaps. I don't fucking know.
Wait, I thought couldn't that be said of there are also folks that are more of the rightish orientation joining the Libertarian Party? Because I do believe I heard the name Rand Paul, and last time I checked, Rand Paul, he was not currently a libertarian.
Rand Paul is what they call libertarian leaning in the Republican Party. It's a part of the Republican Party that pretty much sides with the right leaning libertarians. And
so he's adopted, and you're like, yeah, he's ours, but he can't sit with us.
You know, he kind of fucking sits at the table in the cafeteria next to us. You know what I mean? But Ron Paul actually ran
a lot bigger at the moment.
Yeah. But Ron Paul actually ran for president as a libertarian in '88.
It's true.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah. So his dad was a libertarian.
He ran in 08.
One.
Or 2012.
That was as a Republican.
He ran as a Republican in 08. I remember my vote getting ignored in my county.
Didn't MC say he was almost a libertarian at one point too in the 80s?
Yeah, in the 80s. And he keeps bringing up, I talk to a lot of libertarians. You talk to me, motherfucker. Like, you're talking about me. Come on, and let's fucking have this conversation right now.
Well, I mean, nobody would ever say something about a generalized group, and no quote-unquote member of that group would ever get offended, especially on the internet.
Well, I'm a little confused by his assertion that the Libertarian Party is just about legal weed, and how dare they go through each state and legalize marijuana instead of using the federal government, but then, they use the federal government to legalize marijuana. What is he fucking talking about? What is that? I don't know what the context is for that. It's completely fucking confusing.
Well, I do enjoy cannabis, but I do think he kind of actually has a point. The general gist of what I got he was saying is, when it actually comes to brass tacks, how do many of these folks that actually do get up there at some point actually vote?
Nullification is a thing, okay? We have nullified the marijuana laws. I don't have the FBI at my door right now, all right? They're not here. They're not knocking down my door to take my ounce of weed, all right? And, the ounce of weed I bought at a legal shop and I paid Oregon taxes for.
Yeah.
Come on. And I'm looking at the chat here. I'm getting tagged a bunch. Okay. Mad Dodge Productions. Look here. I just got blocked by a libertarian today for going against his open borders policy. Yeah, a lot of libertarians like open borders. My border policy is an Ellis Island style immigration. You check them. You make sure they're not diseased. You make sure they're not fucking terrorists. If you can't back up their identification, then you fucking kick them out. Other than that, you let them come in, find a job, and live their life. It worked before. It will work again. Okay.
Work anymore. No, I don't think it will work anymore. Not after we had things like NAFTA and stuff destroy our economy. We can't just willy-nilly let people in anymore. We need to be specialized in. Sorry, go ahead.
Nope, I was agreeing with you. You get the fuckers out, get them out of the country, and back to their own country where they belong, and they can rebuild their own damn place.
Well,
which place?
My family. Yeah, no, and my
their
family
own
came
country,
over.
Wherever they.
We're all immigrants here.
From. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
All of us, other than Jensen, are immigrants to the United States, whether or not it be 10 generations.
Well, to be fair, Jensen immigrated to Earth a while ago.
Very true.
Yes.
Kicking me out of hell is really annoying.
I know.
No, and you know what happened the first time when the Irish came in? They were sent to fucking pretty much workhouses and shit with dirt floors. Their situation was no more better than the famine they were running from. But yet they adopted, they joined the culture, and now we have St. Patty's Day. Now we have Cinco de Mayo also. That we fucking a lot of Americans celebrate. I fucking get drunk on Cinco de Mayo. Why not? Then again, I get drunk on any day that ends with Y. But anyway, the thing is, seriously, an Ellis Island style where you make sure they're not terrorists or criminals, they make sure they don't have fucking Ebola or something, it would work, and it would be speedier and more efficient, and it would cost less.
Yeah.
I have a tiny question, if it's okay, as the only foreigner here. I seem to remember that, I believe it's on Ellis Island, you've got this little plaque telling the whole world to send all of their Muppets over to you guys. Is that like a formal thing or what? Because technically, you kind of have to have an open borders policy if this is an official rule of your country. Please correct me where.
Well, to be fair, Jensen, according to some, it was not intended to be a factual statement.
Oh god damn it. Okay. I'm getting, like I said, I got tagged a bunch here. Well, holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's going off about something.
Yeah. Jacob says you can't talk to the magical blue dragon. You can only get to eat them. Okay, whatever. Moving on. I read your message though, Jacob. There you go. Pinoid. There is a lot of leftists hiding as libertarians in the Northeast. I agree. I totally agree, and that's what I said in my opening statement of this here fucking stream. I totally agree with that, and that's a problem. I think the Libertarian Party needs to cleanse itself and strip away a lot of these leftitarians. Pinoid says, I am fucking tired of hearing...
Sorry.
I like leftitarian. I coined that one. Like, that's my word, damn it. Pinoid again. I am fucking tired of hearing leftists pretending to be libertarians because they like weed. What about hemp, man? We need an industrial product. Well, here in Oregon, they're trying to get the hemp industry up and running as well. Pinoid again. This dude I was arguing with was all American is terrible. We stole 40% of our country. Only 40? Anyway, I mean, if
Dude,
you're going to
Louisiana was like the best $2 million ever.
Yeah, right. But if you're going to argue that we stole parts of our country, then it's 100%, motherfucker. Like, seriously, only 40?
Fuck you, we conquered this place. If you can't handle the fact that American colonists conquered a land by colonizing it, I don't know how to break it to you. This is
we prefer to use the term commandeered.
Okay, but we conquered it. We created our own culture. We brought in our own people. We created a whole new thing. We conquered it. Commandeering.
Oh, Pinoid, you were arguing with someone on Facebook? That's cute.
Point.
That's cute. I used to do that shit too, and then I fucking started a YouTube channel, and I don't give a fuck about the assholes anymore.
What? Are you calling out the dawn of the internet?
No, I'm just saying.
Give him a big head.
I think we could use a great guerrilla rant right about now.
No, I think he needs to shut his big ass mouth.
Well, you guys have never disagreed on anything before.
Yeah, you guys are you're besties, right? Oh, god damn it.
No, the Brits only conquered a little corner of it. The colonists that created America, we conquered the nation, their sardonic 7.
Yeah, you guys started the colonies, Jensen and 7. I'll agree with that. Obviously, I like history, but it wasn't much. I mean, on the grand scale of things,
it was 13 colonies.
But you watched Pirates of the Caribbean. The East India Trading Company ran everything.
Yeah, only the 13 colonies that were, and in all fairness, still are considered the greatest colonies over there. Yeah, no, we didn't do much. It's true.
Yeah, but okay.
I'm pissing off Jensen tonight.
The 13
Don't fuck with our
colonies,
caffeine.
They aren't called the 13 greatest colonies. They're called the 13 original colonies.
Yeah, we were the OGs.
Oh, shut up, Massachusetts. No one cares
come on, it says number 26 or whatever.
Oregon?
Are we seriously arguing over states and colonies now?
This is the internet. We argue over everything.
Yeah.
Gargu.
Where are you, MC? Come on.
MC, come on, goddammit. I have questions because you have a fascinating straw man.
And now Texas is trying to poke his mouth in.
And that was a straw man argument, right?
It was a complete straw man. They just want weed, and it's like, whoa. Okay, you want to say, they just want weed, but look at what they've done by just focusing on one issue, and you know what I mean, working on that one issue.
Is that a straw man or a boomer man?
It's a straw man because he's acting like it's the only thing they've done. But if you want to say it's the only thing they've done, you have to look at it and say, well, they've been incredibly successful at the only thing they've done.
And
still,
Pinoy,
Voice, you want to poke your
Hey,
head
voice.
in here? You
And-
said I stand with MC.
I do. I stand with MC.
defend your homie.
Well, again, as Thomas said, yes, they've only done one thing, so he was correct. So it's not a straw man.
That's bullshit. We've argued against the surveillance state a million fucking
Well, no,
Wait,
times.
wait, hold
he
on.
was
Voice
screaming
said
that they failed and
Voice
failed
said
and failed and
you
failed.
did something. What has been done?
Like, what is it? Half the nation now has legal marijuana of some sort.
Oh, is that because of the libertarians?
Libertarians are the fundamental cornerstone of the legalized marijuana movement.
Oh,
No, and what really made me fucking
Since the
mad is he
70s.
compared us to the motherfucking Green Party, and that is what really got me
That
pissed.
was so retarded.
Fuck the Green Party. Are you kidding me?
no, he
Jill
said vote for
Stein? I
libertarians.
will
Vote for the
fucking-
Greens.
No, I will turn into Pinoid and fucking pimp slap that bitch. Like, fuck that.
Sounds like you're a little Randy, MD. I mean
fucking
feisty.
hate Jill
I
Stein.
used the wrong vernacular there.
I
Maybe that's
fucking hate Jill Stein. God, that bitch is stupid. She's a doctor? Are you fucking shitting me? How did
What?
she get through med school? Jill
Oh,
I
Stein,
know.
yeah.
She's
Dr.
like
Stein.
clinically retarded. Yeah. I don't know how.
No,
she
she
does
loves trees.
that. No, she loves communism.
Well, does that make her a bad person?
Yes.
Why?
Because she's retarded. She's ignoring her own human nature.
What that makes you a bad person? Because what?
It makes you a bad person
Fucking
because you support a fucking political alignment that has killed millions. Yeah, it makes you a bad fucking person.
No,
So
Sorry.
it just
Same
makes you antithetical
argument
to
can
your own
be used
existence.
the other way
Hey.
too. Often.
Well, I
Hey,
was,
Spud
was-
in the chat says hashtag vote green 2020, and then Jensen goes hashtag Cthulhu 2020,
fuck
followed
yeah.
by Jacob Jimenez, Mad Dodge. Should rename this stream to "You Know What Grinds My Gears."
That is an incredibly accurate statement, and it helped Homer go viral.
Yeah, communism is bad, okay? Like, I don't know how else to tell you.
It's incredibly okay. Let's ignore all the kills millions. Okay, let's look at this from a purely political perspective. Let's take all the politics and everything out of it. Humans, by their biological nature, are not collectivized in any way. We are specialized humans. We like intellectually specialize. We can do or we don't just intellectually specialize. We can do more than one type of task. We are unique individuals genetically. Everything about being a human being is individualistic when you look at it down to the molecular structure of being human. Our genes are all everything is unique about each single fucking person. Even in identical twins, they have found there is certain variances in their bodies. So it makes no sense to try to say that something is completely collectivistic and quote unquote equality or equal is going to work for creatures that aren't born that way. We aren't insects. There's no way for it to work for us. Physiologically,
So we're not ants.
biologically, no, we aren't. We have individual brains. We communicate.
Could we
through
learn
words.
from the ants?
No.
For the swarm.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. We could learn how to kill them.
No, I like ants.
No, you've never lived in Texas.
You like 20-foot waves too.
It was fun for me.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. And there's gonna be no blue wave come fucking November. But anyway,
We'll
no,
see.
okay. So have you heard of Austrian economics? You know what the Mises Institute pushes all the time? Yeah, libertarians have been working in that field in education forever. And what about fucking Buckley? What about fucking Mises, who the whole institute was named after? There is a lot of great libertarian thinkers, and this is really classical liberalism. This is really going back all the way to fucking
The Enlightenment.
yeah, exactly.
John
and so
Locke.
and so Loki, John Locke, and fucking Saint fucking, I can't remember his goddamn name right now, and I'm not gonna be Sargon and fuck it up, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
Saint Jude's.
But yeah, libertarians have done nothing for the world at all. Not Western civilization, you cunt. Fuck you.
Hold on, MD. So what you're saying is libertarians have been very intelligently working behind the scenes to help craft the scene that we're seeing around the globe.
You have seen a switch in education. You've seen these liberal colleges drop in attendance, and you've seen more people going to places like the Liberty University or fucking the Mises Institute for their graduate studies and shit like that. Even the Cato Institute does some good work.
Common sense guy just threw shade like crazy. Is Mad turning into Sargon? God damn.
Oh. Sound like cat fighting words.
If only I had his subs, their common sense guy. Fuck you.
Oh, well played.
And earlier, Jacob's asking, we're basically complicated and egotistical ants?
No, there's no way. There's no way. Humans are nothing like ants. There's no way we aren't. Not even not in any biological sense.
We don't like taking care of our queens.
But most of the ants aren't taking care of the queens. They're just getting food and putting it in a place and going away.
They're contributing.
They don't even know there is a queen.
Are you sure?
Yes. They don't. They have literally, an ant has like 8 neuron cells in its head.
Is that what the ant told you?
No, that's what science has shown.
I think Ant-Man would beg to differ.
Ant-Man's a comic book memes.
He's also a movie.
Though, if I could, I would totally dig
The
it.
movies were actually exceptionally good, from what I was
No,
expecting.
they're exceptionally bad memes. I'm sorry, I will have to shut you down right there.
I haven't watched them yet, so shoot.
Wait, hold on. In comparison to what?
Everything.
999. You guys are gonna stop. Don't ruin this for me. I haven't seen them.
Oh, wow, you guys are terrible.
No. All I'm saying here is that all of a sudden, when something comes up on like HBO or whatever, I'm like, Ant-Man. I'm like, oh, this movie's probably not going to be all that great or anything. I'm watching, I'm like, this is much better than I expected. So by my expectations, the comparison was they were pretty good. The second one, they just kind of, they forced some puns, but it was still kind of punny.
Okay.
Okay, common sense guy. Wait a minute. I didn't buy my motherfucking subs, all right? I'm not mundane fucking Matt. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on, you British cunt. Anyway, still like you, dude.
All right.
You get the common sense guy on to what?
Jacob says, tell memes that Ant-Man was shit, so was Infinity Wars. Batman v Superman was fantastic. You are so wrong, Jacob Jimenez.
That was such a troll.
Ant-Man is shit. My wife was watching it yesterday on the fucking TV, and I'm like, oh, I'm not even gonna fucking watch this shit. I'm gonna play Skyrim.
So what you're saying is you didn't even watch the movie?
No, I didn't fucking watch that shitty movie.
So how do you know you don't like it?
Because it was playing in the background, and I could hear the whole thing. Dialogue was shit. I don't care about explosions.
It's not the same though, because it's Ant-Man. So if you just listen to it, it's not really going to make as much sense. It's not.
And an important point to make here. An important point to make here is that anybody who says that Batman versus Superman was good is obviously a troll. That's just a fact.
It wasn't the worst movie in history.
All right, I'll be right back. That's calling.
Okay.
Sorry, dude. That was a rubbish movie. It really was.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about
I did like
movies
the kickback to Doom at the end. You know, we had the monster from Doom, so that was a nice kickback. Although I don't think they meant it that way.
But no, once again, though, he did create a straw man, and libertarians have done a lot. The problem is the party itself is split in half, all right? You have the right-leaning libertarians like me, Tom Woods, Mises Institute, Austin Peterson, numerous others, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Ron Paul, I would even say Rand. And then you have the left ones, like the chairman of the Libertarian Party, and a lot of the... Okay, so here's the thing. Even in Oregon, the Libertarian Party split in two and sued each other. All right? We have infighting going on because there's trying to be a takeover. And that's what you're seeing here, MC. And when you have that type of thing happen, especially in Oregon, how are you going to run on a libertarian ticket if you have half the libertarians already against you because you're with the real Libertarian Party of Oregon or the Libertarian Party of Oregon? There's two fucking parties right now. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah, no, and Tema, what do you think about that? Because MC's not here to say anything, and it doesn't sound like Voice wants to defend him very.
Well, it's kind of hard to, because, like, okay, I wrote down some comments because I made sure I didn't want to lose it because, you know, being a parent and all that shit. And I was a little confused because he was talking about libertarians like we're some sort of monolith party of people when, by the nature of being a libertarian, you're not going to be very conformist. Being part of a group isn't going to be something that really totally appeals to you on a frontal cortex level. You know, like it's because you're more focused on getting individual liberties freed up than you are. I'm talking like philosophically when we're talking about the parties themselves. It's like in a completely different mindset to be a libertarian, at least from the Libertarian Party I grew up around and that I've kind of mostly been associated with.
I think he's mostly talking about just major historical actions and stuff like that. That maybe that's the term I'm looking for when I say that, is because MC often rants and uses all-encompassing terms such as all, and he tends to do that about quote-unquote leftish or centrists or even frickin' Republicans and stuff sometimes, because as far as I understand, MC considers himself a conservative. He doesn't actually belong to a party. To be fair, he's more of an independent individual, so he basically just kind of rants on a little bit of everybody. The reason why I believe he's saying that about more of libertarianish folks is because if we look at it from just your average Joe, Dick, or Sally on the street for what they kind of know about libertarians, what comes to mind? Oh, they're folks that want to kind of legalize pot and probably reduce the size of government. That's kind of generally the general gist that will come to mind. And as far as like major actions in legislation, a lot of that would probably be due to because you tend not to see as many libertarians. Are there some libertarians out there on the state level? Sure. But I mean, unless Joe Lieberman's still in there, I don't know of any libertarians off the top of my head that are actively working in the federal government in an elected capacity.
I would...
Hey, buddy.
How's it going, guys and gals?
Hello.
A wild Doku has appeared. Go on, Tema.
I would argue that it's... God, all this 8 million pop-ups all of a sudden. It was like, oh! I would argue that... Oh, never mind. I forgot. Fuck it.
Well, in that case, just real quick, cheers.
I'm actually going to start Madoff. He's going to have to get himself a beer now. We all know
well,
that.
no, and you want to talk about gains for Libertarian Party? We are now recognized in all 50 states. We are now on the ballot in all 50 states, which means we get to save money and actually, you know, pay to run for office. That's kind of a problem for a small party. We're not the DNC. We're not the RNC. It's a little bit more difficult for libertarians. You catch my drift? And I'm looking up some shit real quick, so I'm going to mute myself and you guys go ahead for like
hold on, wait a second. If there's an established presence in all 50 states, couldn't you just simultaneously just start a whole bunch of Kickstarters? no, like seriously, like if this is the thing we're doing, like no, this is 2018, and I mean,
no,
if
I think
Bernie Sanders made tens of millions of dollars,
I think it's actually against the law to use a Kickstarter for something like that. You have to go
Why?
through PACs. You have to go through other legal because it's a political thing. So there's a
Yeah.
different set of avenues you
So
have
what
to go
you're
through.
saying is the Libertarians need to create a super PAC and funnel the money through there rather
Yes.
than just individuals raising it themselves, which would seem to be the more direct and some may
Exactly.
say honest way of doing it. But money is speech. Is that not a stifle?
That's the way the two-party system has arranged it. That's part of the reason you don't
Why do I
see.
feel like Sideshow Bob right now when he just steps on the rake? He's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then he just turns around and he just steps on another rake. Ugh.
Yeah. You are welcome to the current political.
I don't like this meta. Let's break.
I don't
Most
think
people
it's,
don't.
I don't think this stipulation has been put into place by coincidence.
Oh,
But
it's been
that's
years of
me.
legislation.
Oh no, absolutely, it hasn't been put in place by coincidence. This was intentional. It was to keep third parties out. The Democrats, well, I think some of it kind of started before the Democrats were the Democrats, but the Democrats, since at least the 1950s, have been actively pursuing policies that keep third parties from interfering in the elections.
Well, I've been complaining about this for shit, I think longer than half of my lifetime now, which I'll be 29 tomorrow. Happy early birthday to me. But
Birthday, mate.
thank you. Oh wait, is your birthday tomorrow too,
Happy
Jensen?
birthday!
No, I'm saying happy birthday to him.
Oh,
thank
happy
you.
birthday.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, I've been complaining about the two-party system for quite some time, and I think for all of the ranting that I could do about why I hate the two-party system, specifically why we've essentially turned politics into nothing short of, Microsoft versus Apple. But Dr. Dennis Leary, I think, summed it up best in the title of one of his more recent books, which I currently own, and it's a very good book. If you want something to read, I
didn't know he wrote
highly
books.
suggest it. Yeah, it's actually a really good book, and it's fucking hilarious. He's just as much of a prick as you would expect, and I fucking love it. But the title of it is Why We Don't Suck and How We All Need to Stop Being Such Partisan Little Bitches.
Is that the title of the book?
Yeah, that is the title of the book.
That sounds like an amazingly direct title in many ways.
It
I like that.
is, and it's a very direct book. It's not pro-Trump. It's not pro-Hillary. It's not red or blue. It is basically just calling out this whole idea of political tribalism, or as I like to term it, political corporatism, because that's really what it boils down to.
Isn't it just kind of like who's sponsoring who in a lot of ways, it seems?
Essentially. I mean, it's all about, at least with the current political system post-World War II, it has a lot to do with, who owes favors to who, what can you do for your friends. I find it very rare to see any politicians actually supporting the interest of their own constituents. It's really an oligarchy, which is why they hate Trump on the left and the right, because Trump is actually keeping his fucking promises for once. It's something that is almost unheard of in modern politics. Hey, I want to build a wall. I want to lower taxes.
How dare you start to do the things that you said you were gonna do?
How dare you actually put the interest of your constituents in your country first? How dare you go in front of the UN and say that I care more about my country than I do about the interest of global elitists and corporatists?
He didn't have to do it so mean.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
he
so
did.
fucking so racist and misogynist and xenophobic or whatever buzzword you want to throw out there.
Well, sound like a lot of ad hominems too, but it's one of those things you just gotta just look at the landscape and everything, and like you feel like at times you're almost like watching NASCAR. It's like, and now introducing Republican Senator Jeff Flake,
The secret
brought
is
to you by Clorox.
the secret is Donald Trump, not a politician.
Oh, the thing is, you're not wrong. What's up, Batman?
What's up? Me, about half an hour ago.
Hi, Batman.
If
How are
if it
you?
lasts for another 3.5 hours, call a doctor.
Yeah, I had a migraine, so I went to bed early. Like,
I hear you. I'm sorry.
like 4 hours after I got up early.
Yeah, bats don't do well in sunlight.
Actually, that's
Sympathy for my
incorrect.
migraine, dude.
Thanks. But I'm all right now.
Well, that's good to hear.
And I've just killed the conversation.
You're all right now? That's good.
Yeah.
Why isn't MC here yet? I left. I figured he would be back by now, or be at least here
hold
by
on.
now.
We all know that MC, after making such a rant, realized he couldn't be seen around these parts for a while. He's obviously
no, he
terrified.
needs to be seen.
I know what MC is.
Excuse me.
He's out reviving his hip hop career.
That's what he's doing.
God, what's this?
Oh. Wait, MC's Kanye West?
I don't know. We're talking about a collab with Kanye West or a collab with Eminem?
No,
God.
MC's far too intelligent to be.
Well, his mom also was kind of hung up.
Kanye West.
I was just being kind of an asshole.
Oh.
I was not being serious.
Who too? You insulted two people there.
Yeah, you know, two birds, one stone. What can you do? I see an opportunity, I go for it.
Yeah.
You know, more on the issue of libertarianism. I've been called a libertarian. I don't like being called a libertarian. Personally, I'm a constitutionalist.
It depends upon upon your concept of what a libertarian is. If you go back 20, 30 years, the term meant something completely different to what it means now.
Yeah, see, that's the reason I much more prefer the term a constitutionalist. I agree in specifically two specific talking points. I believe in freedom of speech. Yes. I believe in the Second Amendment.
Oh, the right to bear arms.
Yeah,
well,
those
you can't have the first without the second.
So that means that you cut off all the sleeves of your shirts.
Well, first plus second make you free.
Yeah, I don't cut off all the sleeves on all my shirts. I'm ironically enough, I wear a suit and a tie every day.
Well, you live in the northern hemisphere, so it can get kind of cold.
Have bare arms.
Well, I don't know. Lately, it's been frickin'. I mean, shit. Today it was 80 degrees.
Okay. All right. So, welcome, Batman.
Thank you.
All right. So, libertarian gains. Elections. Ranked choice voting passed in Maine. Top two primary elections defeated in South Dakota. When it comes to the drug war, libertarians. Recreational marijuana became legal in Nevada and Massachusetts. Recreational marijuana in Arizona remains illegal, which would have been a loss for freedom, except that it was crony capitalist measure. Reclassification of drug possession as misdemeanor passed in Oklahoma. Medical marijuana legalization in Arkansas, Florida, and North Dakota.
Hold on. Wait, hold on.
I'm going through the list.
You're talking about Massachusetts? We voted on that shit.
Yeah. I know. It became legal.
Like the BG
it was a referendum.
Yeah, it became legal. Gun rights, because libertarians do care about gun rights, which MC seems to forget. Anti-gun law defeated in Maine. Taxation, we hate taxation; it's theft. Sales tax increase defeated in Oklahoma. Tax increase on businesses with more than 25 million in annual sales was defeated in my state of Oregon. Healthcare, single-payer healthcare law defeated in Colorado. Personal liberty, the right to medical aid in dying passed in Colorado. I don't know where I stand on that, because that's not abortion. That's somebody saying I have cancer and I'm fucking in pain and I want to die.
Voluntarism is voluntarism. I have a pretty hard line with voluntarism. It can be hard because you want to get emotionally outraged for people, but voluntarism is voluntarism. You can't take away the value of that.
If you're going to do legislation on something like that, you need to be extremely careful on how it's written.
Yeah, no, and the last one on personal liberty, mandate to use condoms in pornographic films defeated in California. I think that's a bad idea because of their AIDS law that they passed in California. And then they're like, no, pornos don't need condoms. That's a weird combination.
Yeah, that's weird. You can legally infect somebody with
It's not legal. It's a misdemeanor instead of being a felony because it's not a death sentence for 95% of people that get it.
I heard it was legal. Yeah, it was no longer a crime.
It's gone from a felony where you go to jail to potentially something you get fined upon.
Where you can insult somebody by misgendering them 3 times in California, and each time you
only in nursing homes.
I believe New York also passed a similar law.
Yeah, but they've got the 3 strikes law. So if I was to call Riley Dennis a man and get thrown in the clink 3 times for the same offence, I'd end up in prison for life for misgendering Riley Dennis.
No, but you're Australian, so I mean you'd be fine.
Yeah, well, you're Canadian, so you don't know what you're talking about.
He's not Australian.
Jesus Christ, he's not
fuck, I
Australian.
misnamed you again. I'm sorry.
It's all right, sure.
How many times
exactly
do
what she's on about.
Yeah, we're not allowed to vote anymore.
What? No, Tom's not here. You're fine. But no. Going back to what MD was saying, here's the thing. So what you're saying is
exactly who we were talking about.
Well, I would never insinuate such things. That would make I don't even know what that anagram would be. But no, if you look at what you were saying, MD, are you saying those are all libertarian accomplishments? Just because what I'm going to... Okay. So the Libertarian Party was either the primary role or a major supporting role.
A major supporting role. If that's a part of the Libertarian Party platform, which it is, then they were pushing for it, and the voters are being swayed and coming more to the Libertarian side of the point of view.
I can believe that. No, I can believe that. And I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to make this...
It says hashtag make Riley Dennis illegal again.
All these folks
Hashtag no Sharia law. How about that?
I'm gonna have to
Why are you
subscribe to her
still
channel. See
calling
what's going
him
on.
a her? Have you seen the Adam's apple on him?
I don't
Son of
freaking
a
care if that's what she
You know-
prefers. Why do I need to be a dick?
I
I'm
don't.
trying to remember to say her, and I keep accidentally saying him, and I'm trying not to, and it's really hard for me.
It's okay. I keep meaning to call him Riley Dennis, and I keep calling him Justin Dennis.
I thought that was Trudeau.
But no, if you want to say the Libertarian Party and their ideals have gotten nowhere, I call you a liar. Okay, so that's why there is a difference between the big L and the little L libertarians.
Yeah, that's what we have. Yeah.
I am a card-carrying member of the Libertarian Party. They did actually send me a letter asking me to run. Okay, I am in the party.
Yeah, but it was from the Italian branch, wasn't it? It was one of those offers you couldn't refuse.
I did refuse it. I can't run for fucking office right now. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I couldn't run for office if I wanted to.
Once again,
my past is so ugly.
Can YouTubers jump into politics? Is back to that question.
Have you been honest?
Oh, I've been so honest. They can make the best campaign ads ever. I mean,
so what's the problem with doing what you're doing? You be yourself, and if folks feel that you're a better choice than the other folks, then you could actually win.
Fair enough. And
going back to the whole libertarian thing, the reason why I say that, MD, is yes, the legalization of cannabis did occur in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is also a state where there is Romney Care. There is a form of universal health care within the Commonwealth as well. So if you're saying that, it got struck down in one state, if you're saying there's a win in one state, I understand it's not a direct comparison, but it's like, yeah, no, that's fine. It's a contributing factor. But I think one of the MC's biggest gripes is we very often just look at folks like Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, which Bill Weld, from when I was growing up and stuff, folks said a lot of good things about him. Mr. William Weld.
He wasn't a libertarian. I don't know why he was
a Republican
thrown in there. I have no fucking idea.
He was a Massachusetts governor. We like to also elect a lot of Republican governors. We got Mr. Baker right now. So, but all I'm saying, man, is yeah, they can contribute, but often it seems like to many people, the Libertarians tend to put their eggs all in one basket and try to get the presidency, which, to be fair to Mr. Johnson, before the last CNN debate, I believe, even according to their poll, he was polling at 15%, which was enough to get into the debate. And I felt a little bit down that he was not included in that last debate. I would have been curious to see what he had to say, but it seems like in order to really do it, rather than just focusing on every 4 years, you need to focus a lot on the local level. Because let's face it, man, all politics is local.
Yeah, but the Libertarian Party does focus locally as well. It's just not as high profile because, well, it's a third party, and especially in a deep blue state like Oregon. How many libertarians do you think will actually win, even if we beat the streets and fucking sign the petition to even get on the ballot to begin with, which we don't have to do now, luckily, but before we had to. And then how are we going to raise money? Who's going to fund us to actually be able to fucking travel, to actually be able to do anything?
Kickstarters to funnel into your super PACs.
It's illegal.
No, but then you have to. That's why you have to have your Kickstarters. No, excuse me, your super PAC start the Kickstarters and the crowdfunding and the this, that, and move the money through multiple hands so we can do it in a legal way. Why does that not sound right?
Okay, the campaign finance laws are fucking very tricky as well, which means to even run, you kind of have to consider getting a lawyer to make sure you stay above board. I mean, and that, you know, local politics is one thing. They're not really going to dig through everything. They probably wouldn't even know I had a YouTube channel.
So you're saying
by my real name.
The Libertarian Party doesn't have one attorney that could do some pro bono work in each state?
What? So Judge Andrew Napolitano is supposed to bounce from state to state to help everybody out?
Well, there is the internet.
Well, what are you talking? This sounds like it just got a hell of a lot more complicated, to be honest. I mean,
you know what politicians and lawyers have in common? They come across something simple and they say, how do we make this 10 times more complex?
Yes. Absolutely. I was going to say they're both the same creature, but
well, what else are we going to use all our lawyers for?
They're going to have to get re-educated with new jobs.
Shark bait.
No. But here's the thing. If you look at many other places in the world, such as Europe, they don't have commercials for attorneys.
Why do we want to
we
look
don't
at
even
Europe
have commercials for attorneys in the UK either.
Have you seen what's happening in Europe? Why would you want any tips from them on how to make a better civilization here in America? I don't want any tips from Europe. No, thank you.
How many excess civil lawsuits do you see?
Actually, the United States Constitution, you could say, is a tip from Europe because
250 years ago.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, come on now. Let's look at current Europe. We're talking about current Europe. Current Europe is falling apart, Batman.
No, it's not falling apart. It's crumbling.
It could be like the UK and the last time they updated their constitution.
Oh, okay.
Holy semantical Batman.
Until recently, we haven't needed to because it's been part of our culture. Unfortunately, the political elite are starting to, prove that they're not worth supporting.
Well, no, and I want to throw this question at both Jensen and you, Batman. I was going to say voice of one, but he just bounced. Okay, is there, like I've asked this before, and I believe the answer is yes. What party is the most like the Libertarian Party here in the United States over there?
Oh, good question. I think we've really got one. I mean... You could attempt to argue that the Liberal Party over here is similar-ish, though I don't...
It is lip service.
Yeah.
They're all exactly the same, though.
Those are Lib Dems?
Yeah, but they're all exactly the same now.
True.
The people in the party? The parties are the people?
The parties.
The parties, they're all exactly the same now.
So what's the difference?
That's what everybody's been complaining about in Europe.
Well, so what about UKIP? What about UKIP? Is that kind of libertarian? Libertarians want to be pretty much isolationist as well.
Egalitarian.
Okay, so they're more okay. Classically liberal.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Like
what the libertarian.
Greco-Roman classically liberal, not
Yeah, but-
not Danish or Germanic rather.
Yeah, but that's what the Libertarian Party is trying to be, is just classical liberal. We want fucking the least government possible, which MC fucking nailed us on. Dude, if the party chairman thinks that Kavanaugh did it, that doesn't reflect upon the rest of the party. Are you kidding me? I've seen Tom Woods do a fucking whole episode on how Kavanaugh didn't fucking do it. You're forgetting these great minds within the Libertarian
Elon
Party.
Musk did not inhale on Joe Rogan, and it cost him $40 million.
Well, it's like Reason.com doesn't exist. You know, it's like go look at Reason. There's been a whole bunch of articles. He's talking about the two SCOTUS picks that Obama got, and because I don't want to say their names wrong, Kagan and somebody Sotomayor. He was talking about those two. Where were you? Did you ever look at the publications that are backed by libertarians? They were out there saying 9. This is very, very bad. Very, very, very bad. It was all over the place. I remember watching videos from Reason.com. I remember reading in something in Gunpowder, another libertarian publication, about how this was just such a shit choice. But hey, what do you expect? It's fucking Obama. I don't understand where he's getting that from. It was like this totally complete hyperbolic thing, because the Libertarian Party itself really hasn't had enough financial steam to even be notable until this past election cycle, truth be told.
All right. I hate to actually pull a memes with memes right here, but
sorry.
I wanted to ask him about that. Oh, Ninja Vanish?
Whoops.
Oh.
Apparently he's not.
Oh, you scared him away.
Vanish.
He said he would have to duck out and go hang out with, I don't know if it's his ex-girlfriend or current girlfriend. I have no fucking idea anymore. But
Neither
yeah.
has he.
Maybe he's going to hit her with another 20-foot wave. Anyways, I'm actually going to argue against you, Dodge. You said that people can't hold the whole Libertarian Party accountable because of one person. Look at the dickhead in your chat that I was arguing with earlier today in Discord, Pinoid. He holds all women accountable for a small few.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, and I don't do that. The whole libertarian ideal.
That's why we
is
keep disagreeing with him.
I mean, I hold all cannibals
I'm just
responsible for the actions of a few, but all cannibals are the same. Women aren't.
I'm just saying, look, there are people who take the actions of a small minority in a group and hold it against the whole of the group.
Well, no, and I'm looking at the chat also. Disky Fringo, I've never seen you.
Hey, Disky, how's it going?
Please like and subscribe if you are new here. I don't remember seeing you in the chat. I was led to believe there was cocaine and Colombian hookers here. As I said, you got to go into the back room.
Well,
you need VIP
Tema's
access.
probably got the Colombian hookers hidden somewhere in her tits.
Yeah, I pop them out every once in a while. It's a good time.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. And Jacob says, after I said you got to go into the back room, Jacob goes, "Hey, Mad Dodge, there's no point going back in the closet. You can stay out now."
Yeah, but Mad wants to stay in the closet because he's having an affair with Mr. Tumulus.
I think Rebel Mama might have a problem with that.
Yeah. My wife would be none too pleased.
She's on the Turkish tonight.
Oh, MC, fucking stop working, man. I know you're on the computer. You're lurking somewhere. Get your ass in here.
Oh, I've already tweeted at him and sent it out to every platform I'm on.
But no,
Ooh.
okay, so yeah, we are individualists. So the whole point, did you watch the Libertarian Party convention for picking their nominee? They were
No.
all fucking screaming at each other. I have it downloaded. It's on my channel as well. Like there was complete infighting. You had half of them as right-leaning libertarians saying, "Hey, we want to take the Libertarian Party back and make it libertarian again." Like they actually one of them actually used that line. You have another wing of the party that's co-opted by the leftists. And you have people like Gary Johnson that want to be like memes in the center. We are a very diverse party.
Yeah, I can't get behind Gary Johnson.
He's not that big, is he?
I don't mind him running for the Senate, but our presidential nominee should have been Austin Peterson.
Oh yeah,
It
because
really
at least
should have.
Austin Peterson doesn't buy into Black Lives Matters.
He doesn't buy into any of that bullshit.
Yeah.
The only thing I disagree with Austin Peterson on is he made a video talking about how libertarians tend to support the Confederacy. There's a reason for that. The Confederacy was for smaller government
And states' rights.
on a whole.
And
states' rights.
Highly focused states' rights. They were the anti-federalists, honestly.
Exactly. And Austin made the argument that there was still slavery, therefore you can't really defend them. And we kind of hurt ourselves by doing so. I fall with Tom Woods on this issue. I believe that the Confederacy was not just about slavery. And matter of fact, at the end of the war, they freed the slaves to help in the war effort, just like the British did in the Revolutionary War. Like you just can't look at everything black and white like that. There are shades of gray. The thing is, though, MC lumped us all up into one pile and called us all leftists. Said we're fucking pretty much the Green Party on steroids. Go fuck yourself, dude. Like, that is ridiculous. That claim just pisses me the fuck off. That's why I went back to it again. Like, god damn it, man. And
sorry, go ahead, Mad Dodge.
No, I'm ranting again. Go for it.
Okay, no, there's just one statement that I want to make. And as someone who's studied the Civil War, the Confederacy, and the Union, I won't say extensively, but enough to stand by my talking points. People say, it was about slavery. Yeah, if you look at it from a surface level perspective, yeah, okay, it was about slavery. But really what the Civil War was about and what drove the secession states to actually secede from the Union is economically driven, as are most wars. Because if you look at the Union and taking place during the early to mid era of the Industrial Revolution, the southern states were not economically developed in the same way that the North was. The southern states were very agricultural, very, the plantation system was still going strong, and the foundation of their economic system, albeit in the hands of a very small group of individuals, you could call them the corporates of that time era. Their economy was built upon slavery. That was their workforce. Those were the factory workers of the South. So if you immediately abolish slavery like that, well, yeah, you're going to collapse the economy of the South. They do not have the capabilities of, just snap, let's pull a Thanos, just snap your fingers real quick. Now all of a sudden you have to come up with the cash and everything else to start paying, let's say, just not even saying abolish slavery, make them all indentured servants. Now you have to come up with the cash and the capabilities to do so. It wasn't a slow implementation. It was literally, I sign a piece of paper and now boom, your entire workforce for these large plantations, the cornerstone of your economy, is now suddenly illegal. What did you expect them to do? Also, the vast majority of people that fought in the Civil War, it wasn't like the Revolutionary War. You weren't rebelling against an oppressive government that didn't allow you representation. It was very clearly fought for economic reasons because the entire foundation of the Southern economy would have collapsed And it very much did afterwards. And then you ended up with Jim Crow laws instead. Just purely mostly out of spite.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna make this argument when we wrap up the Civil War series, me and MC. Because no, MC is still my friend, guys. This isn't internet drama. I'm just arguing his fucking.
Someone in the chat says, "Wait, I'm a libertarian."
but no, the thing is though, Abraham Lincoln, if he really wanted to free the slaves, he would have bought them and fucking freed them. You could have done that. You could have did what the British did. And Jensen, that's exactly what you guys did, is it not?
Yep. Yeah.
And he also.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, the whole thing with the slaves, it's just their little buzz thing that they know that everyone will react badly to. That's why they use it. Carry on, sir.
Well, no, yeah, and the second point about Abraham Lincoln, if he really wanted to free the slaves, he wouldn't have proposed an amendment to the Constitution that would have made it perpetual. We would still have slavery today if the South didn't rebel, because Abraham Lincoln wanted to pass an amendment to do so.
And he did say that if he could preserve the Union without freeing a single black slave, he would do so.
Exactly. And we don't need to finish that quote. This isn't about the Civil War. No one wants to hear it. I do that on the weekends when we get very little viewers. So, no.
Well, you mean when children watch? Because they're very...
No.
Is it family friendly at least?
We try not to cuss too much. We try to stay to the battles and to the political history of it. But it is me and MC.
Several times.
I know. It is me and MC. I was going to finish my statement there, Sherardi. Thank you, though. But yeah, I swear all the time. Like, I don't care. I'm kind of like Kevin Smith on that aspect. Like, he can't help himself either. But no, the thing is, MC made the argument that all libertarians are the same and we're all frauds and the party will go nowhere. Tell me why we're making gains in passing laws. We're making gains locally as well. And you even said, oh, there's a few, but not that many. Well, there's a few, and there's more than there is in any other independent party. Where's the Green Party representatives? Where's the Constitutionalist Party representatives? Where are they? Nowhere to be seen. But you hear from the libertarians all the time. And we're also making gains, like I said, in the academic world. So it isn't a losing battle. It's just a tough battle to make. And the Democratic Party is splitting right now. And that's why you're seeing a lefty fucking takeover of part of the Libertarian Party and an infight. Because believe me, there is a battle going on within the Libertarian Party. And if, well, I guess I'll say it, my side wins, we'll be better off. If the other side wins, then the Libertarian Party will split too. And then you have no real chance at a third party. Do you want to keep the left-right dichotomy the way it is? Do you want fucking Democrats every 8 years and then Republicans again in 8? I mean, really, what do you want here, man? I mean, you're tearing down the only challenge there is to the establishment.
When you bring up a really good point, and this is something I want to point out, and I'm going to use an example from one of the more recent culture war aspects, which I've been involved with somewhat, in case you can't tell from my avatar, Comicsgate. When you're a proponent of tolerance and acceptance, and you don't necessarily have any kind of prejudice vetting process or anything along those lines, when you just try to accept in everyone, you're accepting the good with the bad. And that negative element that you're going to be accepting into your group will eventually destroy your group from the inside. It is the literal manifestation of one of the tenets of Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. A true activist does not pick up a picket sign, go march in the streets, create riots, things like that. No, they put on a suit and tie, they go to work, they change the system from the inside.
The ones we see out in the streets with picket signs these days, especially these days, are spoiled brats.
Oh, they're a bunch of useful idiots.
They're
the
children.
Ones you really need to be worried about are the ones that have the suits and the ties, the ones that are trying to infiltrate groups, destroy resistance, and they do so by infiltrating anything that is a threat to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need to be worried about.
Like it says about the ones that are out in the streets these days, they're children. Physically, they're adult. Possibly intellectually, a lot of them are adults, but emotionally, where it counts, where all of your motivation comes from, they're children. They have not grown up since preschool, really. A lot of them.
Oh, and that's why they're very much useful idiots. They've been effectively co-opted to propagating an agenda that they don't even fully understand. It's just, oh, if I don't do this, then it... Well, let me backtrack real quick. You end up with three types. There are the individuals who know exactly what they're doing. There are the individuals who are afraid of being ostracized, mocked, or run out of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are the individuals that just simply don't understand what it is they're advocating for. Yeah, they just read a piece of paper and it sounds nice, but they don't understand the underlying principles.
And if you go through history, the people who refuse to be ostracized, who you cannot mock, and who've got enough presence you can't run them out of the group, they're usually the ones that are found dead in their beds.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Totally true.
It's either, yeah, I guess you could sum it up with 3 words. You have group 1, which is those with intention. Group 2, those who are just simply ignorant. Group 3, those that are fearful.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing as well. Tolerance. Tolerance to, well, not so much my generation, but definitely my father's generation, was something very different to what it is nowadays because, the way I was taught tolerance by my dad, tolerance is a two-way street. You cannot tolerate somebody if they're not going to tolerate you. But nowadays, tolerance is submission.
And you see that a lot with some of the more modern far-left groups, and also, even though they're less numerous, also some of the extreme far-right groups, where if you become unquestionably tolerant of a group, well, okay, am I going to tolerate pedophilia? Should I discriminate against that? Should I discriminate against a religious group, regardless of what religion it might be, that advocates for things like murdering people who aren't of the same religion? Should I tolerate Hitler because he advocated for genocide? How tolerant do you have to be? And there does come a point where you have to draw a line. Yeah. Unquestioning tolerance is not a good idea.
Let's face it, the lefties now are advocating for the normalization of pedophilia.
Well, and also if you notice something, and I've noticed this more from the left than the right. Well, I should say the far left and the far right. One group at least still seems to be clinging on to moral values while the other seems to be shedding away and wanting to move further away from morality. There is such a thing as right and wrong in this world. It's that plain and simple.
Which is why they push moral relativism. I mean, I truly believe there is such a thing as good and evil, but good and evil can only exist where there are sentient beings, if you understand what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I understand exactly what you mean, and I agree completely. That's why, you know what? I say, yeah, you can be tolerant, but that doesn't mean... They use the term tolerance and discrimination interchangeably, and they're really not interchangeable. You can be tolerant of someone, but when you use the term discrimination, it obviously has a negative connotation. But I'm sorry, if I see someone who's raping someone, man, women, doesn't matter. If I see someone committing an act like that, I consider that an act of evil. And yes, I'm going to discriminate against them because I consider it to be evil. Why? Because I have morals. And I know that to be morally abhorrent. That is something I will not tolerate.
But it is a little story for you about not tolerating that type of person. Back back in the late 70s, I'll be about 15, there was a body fished out of the River Weir. This guy, he'd been nailed to a wooden door and placed in the river, face down, so that he couldn't turn it over. But he was a known kiddie fiddler, and he'd been under suspicion of attacking some kids. So clearly somebody got hold of him and done the deed on him, and the police were very slow and lackluster in their investigation of his murder. So yeah, that's back then. But nowadays, the guy would have probably just gotten yelled at or something.
Okay, well, the thing is, tolerance has its limits, and we are a nation of laws. And libertarians do believe in laws. We will rebel against unjust laws. Illegal search and seizure.
It's your civic duty to rebel against unjust laws.
That was going to be the original motto of America. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God.
It does. God, I don't think God enters into it. I know what you mean, but I don't think God enters into it. It's just yours. It is your civic duty to rebel against unjust laws.
No, I'm just saying the idea has been a constant in our nation since its inception.
It's something.
Yeah, you know what was on our first currency? Mind your business. We should bring that back. Like, mind your fucking business. Kind of like my neighbors. They can't mind their fucking business.
Oh God.
No, like, nobody will leave you the fuck alone anymore. Not the government, not your fucking neighbors, not anybody. Even if you leave them alone. Matter of fact, if you leave them alone, it's worse, because all they do is wonder about you and fucking talk shit. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't fucking talk to my neighbors, and they all talk about me.
It's one of the negatives that you have to put up with if you want to have a community. But then again, that also comes down to positive, because people, your neighbors want to know your business and that, and keeping an eye on you.
Actually, I think
an advantage when you're out, your neighbors know you're on holiday, and there's people going to your house. That's when the police get called and burglars get arrested.
I think this is very relevant, because I'm actually currently, in my infinite wisdom, decided that taking an 8-week course on history would have been fun, despite the fact that they're loading me up with a shit ton of work that I don't have the time to do. But I am currently having to read the Declaration of Independence again. But the preamble, I think, is very relevant here to this specific argument. And if you don't mind, I would like to read the preamble.
Oh, go ahead. I've read passages of the Declaration on my show all the time. I have it on my desk to argue with MC.
I have it on my wall in my hallway.
I think this is a perfect example of why. Well, I say I'm a constitutionalist, but I guess I could be also considered a libertarian, depending upon who you ask. But the preamble to the Declaration of Independence: we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness.
Yeah.
Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evidences a design to reduce them, are under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such a government and to provide new guards for their future security. In other words,
Yeah,
In other words,
Jensen, how
you
do
were-
you feel about that document, considering you're British?
I think it's very much the reason why we had an English Civil War, but unfortunately, the parliamentarians were co-opted by a religious tyrant. Cromwell.
Well,
no,
It was very much, the king at the time wanted to overrule the democratic process of Parliament in his own favour, and that's what sparked the English Civil War. But revolutions have a habit of being co-opted by tyrants, which is what happened to us.
Well, yeah, because when you leave a power vacuum, the strongest will come in to fill said vacuum. The thing is, though, MC made the argument in his rant that we need to just knock off trying to play fucking politics and do a convention of states. Do you really think that's going to work out well?
I think that is a terrible fucking idea. Sorry.
Go ahead.
There is a lot of animosity between the American states, different American states, isn't there? And how many times
MC, get your ass in here now.
How many times is Texas going to try and invade its neighbors?
Well, and here's the thing I think should be stated and very clearly defined is at the core of why the American Revolution happened, why the French Revolution happened, the Russian Revolution, and at the core of the Declaration of Independence really boils down to this. The individual citizen is not beholden to its government. The government is beholden to the interest of the individual citizen. When that dynamic shifts, that's when you know you're living under a tyrannical government.
The French Revolution happened because the French government bankrupted themselves funding the American Revolution.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But no, MC, you're in the chat. This stream is about you. Get in here, man. Let's go. Gloves are off, buddy. Yeah, we're still friends, but god damn it, you fucking
MC, if you're coming in here, please don't wear your parachute
buddy. Pants. Yeah, wear your parachute.
I think somebody wants to fight.
Well, I just want to understand the premise of some of his statements. They were rather hyperbolic and very mischaracterizing.
You made me laugh.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah.
Yay, MC!
Hi, MC.
Hello, Mick.
Hey, mate.
So why didn't you just call me out by name, buddy? Come on. That rant was about me. You call memes out all the time. You couldn't say Mad Dodge? Like, dude, all right.
That rant wasn't about you. That's not what set me off on that rant.
What I want to know is
what set you off then? What happened? Why did you start that rant? Because that's what we've been covering here today. Because obviously that has to be a topic after I watched it.
The problem with the Libertarians starts with your leadership. Okay, now you cannot excuse your leadership and then turn around and go, but we believe all this other crap. Rein in your leadership. Your leadership has led you guys to disaster after disaster. You're not growing as a movement. There's a lot of people that sit up there and say, "Well, I believe in the stated goals of the Libertarians." All right, but then you watch what your leadership does, and they go right against those goals.
But do you listen to people like Thomas Woods, who argues against the leadership? Him and the leadership, the fucking chairman of the Libertarian Party.
What good is it going to do for people to sit up there and expound on it, and then turn your backs on the people you are putting in place to actually commit it? It's the same thing the liberals do. It's exactly the same thing the leftists do. Oh, I'm for this, and as soon as you give them power, after watching who this leadership is, and they don't do anything that they've stated as their goals are, what the hell do you expect out of them?
What are you talking about?
I believe MC is arguing for accountability.
But I have no fucking context. Okay, so one leadership person that not everybody got to hold on.
Take a look at what
one group one leadership party that got voted on by one small section of the Libertarian Party, because let's face it, this is like herding fucking cats. One small group determined that this guy is their leader, even though most libertarians that claim libertarian political ideology don't register with the Libertarian Party. You're screaming about something that isn't related to the actual political movement. The political movement itself is a bedroom.
I hate to say this, Tima. It is related to the movement.
I made a whole stream against Nicholas Sarwick. He is a cunt. Okay, I don't know why he keeps getting. Well, actually, I do know why he keeps getting, reaffirmed as the chairman. It's because of the leftitarians, the left takeover of the Libertarian Party. But you're going to blame my side of the Libertarian Party for it, sir?
I'm going to blame the Libertarian Party. You guys are part of that group.
But you're just advocating for a replacement of the Conservative Party with libertarian branding. That's what you were advocating before, for militaristic fucking discipline and all this stuff.
No,
that's a contrition. That's what it sounded like to me.
What I was pointing out was this attitude that you can just do things with the NAP, all right, and that the NAP is effective enough to handle it, and it's not.
The NAP is how our society functions now. And
no, it isn't.
Yes, it is. The general social contract is you don't hurt other people, you leave them alone. You are polite and kind, and you don't hit. You don't steal. That is the general social contract.
That is not
what the non-aggression principle is based upon.
Not the non-aggression principle that they're talking about.
Okay, so there's a new special.
No, this is what the Libertarians have stated as part of their non-aggression principle. Their idea is that you won't need a military whatsoever, that a military force, all right, can be a mercenary type of force at most. And that if somebody then violates the NAP, everyone's going to get together to put a stop to it. That has been stated by Mad Dodge and several other ANCAPs. Now, Mad Dodge is not an ANCAP. I'm not saying that he is. But that, and then if you want to take a look at what I'm railing against with the Libertarian Party, take a look at their Twitter account and how they came out against Kavanaugh.
Their Twitter account is ran by Nicholas Sarwick. What do you
care who it's ran by? If this
I see. So it only matters when it's an establishment Republican that's part of the deep state that does something wrong.
No, it does not. It has to do with the leadership and holding leadership accountable. It has nothing to do.
But only their leadership.
No. Not only their leadership, I called out the liberals as well. I even called out the hold on a second. I even called out Republicans in that same stream, Athema. You heard what you wanted to.
I heard what you said. I heard your words. And I don't hear you call out anybody from the fucking conservative right at all. When was the last time you called out Ted Cruz for fucking being an idiot? When was the last time you called out Lindsey fucking Graham, dude? Lindsey fucking Graham. How about Nikki Haley? I've
repeatedly hammered Lindsey Graham for being a rhino. And if you bother to listen to that stream, that's exactly what I was talking about. And one of the problems that I see is that they're not being held accountable. All right, the liberals aren't being held accountable. When you coalesce a new party like the Libertarian Party, and your leadership does exactly the opposite, how is this ever going to fix the problem of a continuing expansion of the federal government? You can't look at this and say, well, how are we going to fix the federal government? How are we going to reduce the size of the federal government? I have yet to hear a plan from the Libertarians. I have yet to hear a plan from the supposed conservatives that call themselves Republicans, and I have yet to hear it from any liberal which wants a massive expansion of it. And if the only way that you're going to have a reduction in federal power at this point in time, unless there is some kind of massive come to Jesus moment within the political structure, is with a convention of states. And the only other method that you're going to end up with reducing federal power, as I can see,
you haven't listened
is basically a revolution.
Napolitano, how about him? Oh, we don't even have a fucking dog catcher, right? We got a goddamn judge, dude. What the fuck, man? He's qualified to be on the Superior Court. Okay, Judge Andrew Napolitano. He's
and what court does he sit on right now, currently?
I thought he was retired.
He is.
Okay.
He was sitting. He was sitting on the court in New Jersey.
There is no sitting person right now that you can look at and say that person is a committed member of the Libertarian Party within government today.
Because the nature of libertarianism doesn't work well as a political party. Fuck me. The current political paradigm doesn't work for being a libertarian because you are focused on government, spending, social ideals being constructed by the government. We have to have social constructs involved in it as well. None of that works within the Libertarian Party because within the Libertarian Party, the mindset that creates that kind of want is you have individuals, how much oversight do they need is the only question. How much oversight is the big question. That's not the question that the Republicans and the Democrats and all those fucking people have. They don't even understand the question that's being asked. So you're asking us to become them to fix their problem. But that's not going to work because individuals don't work that way. You have to let the old system die so that the new system can replace it. And right now, the new system still has to be formed. Saying the libertarians have to be the new system, you're jumping the fucking gun. We aren't.
No, I'm not jumping the gun at all. I'm just saying there's only one method that you're going to get that new system in place. And the only way to do it peacefully is with a convention of states, something you've set against. Then
you don't need a convention of states to change out political parties. It's never been necessary.
How are you going to do it then? I don't see another third party forming. Do you?
Yes, I see several groups that are going to congeal into one or two groups. It's going to be
what party?
I don't know what their names are going to be, but I can tell you what their philosophies are because you're jumping the fucking gun. It's not time yet. You have to let it happen at its own natural progression because we're people.
Okay, I've got a question for MC, and I feel this is relevant to the conversation.
Go ahead.
I feel that financial conflict of interest is a big problem with the current political system we have here in the United States. What should we do about that?
What do you mean by financial conflict of interest? What are you referring to directly?
Specifically what I'm referring to, if you want to run for any significant political office, unless you're capable of funding the campaign or getting financial contributions from outside parties, you're basically screwed.
Okay.
There's no way you would ever manage to achieve political office.
The only way you're going to do that is by cutting down federal power. How are you going to cut down federal power? The only way to cut down federal power is one, with a convention of states, or two, with violent revolution.
But through what specific legislation? With a
convention of states. You call a convention of states to redress the federal government's power. At that point, by breaking up the federal government's power, then you can have an opportunity of redressing just where all this goes. If you don't do that, though, the federal government will continue to expand and coalesce to even more powerful groups. All right.
Yeah, they'll consolidate. Yeah, they'll consolidate. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I'm just curious, like, how would you structure it? Because I would like to hear your opinion on it.
My concern about the Convention of States is that there's no guarantee we'll come back with less government power. Right now, the paradigms are so fucking wonky and crazy. Going for a Convention of States right now could mean, loss of the Second Amendment.
I hear your concerns, right? I do hear that concern, and I do understand it. I think, however, if you're taking a look at the way the government is right now, the inability of the average citizen, all right, to reduce the power of the federal government to its ever-expanding greatness, okay, where it just keeps growing and growing and growing in power, where it's just taking power away from the states and taking power away from the individuals, and nothing has changed it. Yes, it goes slower or it goes faster, depending upon who happens to be in charge, but it's not going down at all. And I understand that the concern is that, yes, you could sit up there and do away with quote unquote certain individual rights. But the problem is right now is those rights are going to be going the way of the dodo anyway, unless you stop the federal government's power grab.
I understand where MC's coming from on this one. The thing is, and this is the problem, how do we address it?
Americans are waking up to the fact that they have the power. Americans are waking up to the fact that they can ignore the government and fight against them. It's not a frequent thing, but it's starting to pick up pace. You're watching different counties buck against government oversight. You're seeing regions of states buck against government oversight. You're seeing entire states buck against government oversight right now. It's something that's working at the grassroots individual level as it's intended to. Now, hopefully we can keep it calm and we can start voting a little more conscientiously, which this is part of that pendulum. You don't pay attention and then you do pay attention and you get the liberal and the conservative pendulum swing. I think we need to focus more on stopping the pendulum, but that's a personal thing. But it's progressive. You have to watch it. You have to watch the ebb and flow. There's motion to it. It's just like people. It has motion.
I'm sorry, but I've seen this go through the cycle before, and it never materialized the way you think it does. And all you continue to see in a progression, right, is the ever expansion of federal power. I understand. But I've gone through this cycle. I saw this cycle, this very similar cycle, take place, all right, during the quote-unquote Republican Revolution with Newt Gingrich. I saw this very cycle, take place when Reagan came in charge. It hasn't fixed it.
Well, okay, define fixed.
It hasn't reduced the size of the federal and scope of the federal government.
Okay.
The federal government during those same time frames, while they didn't grow in power as quickly, they still grew in power. I see nothing yet that is reducing federal power.
Except for that Trump is like consolidating a bunch of different departments together and reducing what they can and cannot do.
Federal power. That does not reduce federal power in any way, shape, or form.
I'm sorry, consolidating and limiting their influence doesn't reduce the power of government. No, exactly.
Not as a whole. It reduces a little section of it here and a little section of it there by robbing Peter to pay Paul over there. But the federal power as a whole isn't reduced.
Oh, we're supposed to just throw everything out at once, do it now, have a temper tantrum. Instead of surgically and quietly undoing it like the communists did to us in the initial.
I think what he wants is, like he said at the very end of his video, Viva la Revolution.
I want to see the federal power reduced permanently. I don't want people to say, well, yeah, okay, we've won. Look, marijuana is legal in all the states, and then have the federal government turn right around again and go, well, we scheduled it this way, and stepping on people. Because the power is still there.
The only fucking battle the libertarians wage. We're also against gun control.
You show me where the libertarians have coalesced against gun control, because I have yet to see it.
Texas.
And you don't fucking listen to the fucking right-leaning libertarians. You don't listen
I have listened to libertarians.
Obviously, you haven't, because there's an entire state where almost half the population of the state self-identifies as fucking libertarian.
And how many representatives do they have in state government? And how many representatives did they send to Congress? 0.
Over half. Okay, sure. Over half of the Republican Party in Texas consider themselves libertarians. Over half of them.
I would agree with that to a point. But the problem is okay, you send them to Congress, okay, and has Congress reduced the size of the federal government?
How is Congress supposed to reduce the size of the federal government when nobody's allowed to pass a budget?
They're
Republicans in the Congress. You can't say, it's libertarians' faults that there's not a balanced budget. You know, they should be running everything. Are you fucking serious?
I didn't say at any point in time that it was strictly the libertarians.
Never mind the fact that libertarians have been quietly taking over the Republican Party since the Tea Party movement started. But okay, whatever. Let's ignore that fucking fact. Sure.
And what's the power base based on? I'm sorry.
Rand Paul,
Are you serious?
Thomas Massey, Justin Amash. I can name you a few fucking libertarian-leaning Republicans. All right.
There are small government Republicans. All right, but if the reality is that they are way in the minority, and they always have been. Yes, there is an attempt for them to come to ascendancy. There is an attempt for them to come up to power, but at most they'll be able to do is take over the Republican Party. You still then have to deal with the fact that the Democrats, all right, still exist.
Okay, so just burn it to the ground because you don't like the fact they're elected?
It's not a matter of burning it to the ground. It's a reestablishment of the sovereignty of the states and the power of the states. And you're not going to get that by slowly saying we're going to sit up there and get our people in these places.
I'm going to read the chat here, so I'm going to be calm about it. Carl says, if you do go to the the Convention of States. Kiss the First, Second, Fourth, Fifth. Oh, and the 10th Amendment goodbye.
Okay,
You know.
why would the majority of the states vote for that?
I have a relevant question, and I'm going to say this from an unbiased perspective because I want to hear everyone's opinion. Should there be a movement to reassert the United States Constitution as the overarching law of the land that all states within the Union must abide by?
Yes, that's already in place. It's called the Minutemen Society or Minutemen Foundation or some shit like that. It's the Minutemen.
Personally, I agree, and I think this would be a good thing to do. But I would like to know, would this be something we should do, or would it hurt libertarians?
We already have groups. Yeah, but we already have groups like the Minutemen and what then?
3% Oath Keepers.
Oh, and the 3% Oath Keepers. And there's another group I can't remember the name of. It's composed entirely of veterans. There are several groups that are in place that are doing that very thing.
Oh, and I agree with you.
You've also got the NCR, haven't you?
What's NCR stand for?
It's a Fallout reference.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't play Fallout. I can't play first-person shooters. They make me sick.
See, I agree with that sentiment. Personally, I do believe that if anybody goes against the Constitution or tries to amend the Constitution in any way, shape, or form that would undermine the fundamental constitutional right that is outlined within that specific section of the Constitution, would technically, by definition, be unconstitutional. I'm asking the question because the overarching law of the land should be the Constitution.
You mean like all these people in the states who are going on about repealing the First Amendment?
Yeah, there's some retards that tried that a couple of times.
Yep. There are plenty of people that want to repeal all the amendments and want to repeal the Constitution as well. All right. However, when you start talking about worrying about, well, why can't we get back to the fidelity of the Constitution? How are you going to do that? All right, with the current judicial system as it currently is structured.
You have to fucking argue your point. You have to fucking make the public debate. If you go into a convention of states, you're giving a select few the power of the entire country.
I am not giving just a select few.
You are.
I am giving the states the chance, all right, to go back because they're the ones selecting these people to go to the convention of states, where each state has the exact same amount of power again.
But they're going to send the same people they already sent to the federal government. Don't you?
No, they won't necessarily send.
For the most part, they will.
And what's more is that at least it will be done from a more local perspective to sit up there and represent themselves.
It won't.
No, it won't. It'll be in D.C. They'll lock the doors like they did before, and we'll have a brand new constitution. Maybe we'll even get the purge night there, MC. You can have your fun once a year.
Even if the convention of states comes out with a new constitution, it's still going to have to be voted on by the people within those states.
And you see that working.
I do see it working because each individual state will
coming
have
to
the
our
same kind of
house
power.
going, "Hey, I want your guns. You're going to give them to us."
No,
here you go. Bam, bam.
I'm sorry. You're going to have the cities determining what everybody in rural areas gets to do.
No, you won't, because the vast majority of the states are not heavily populated that way.
You're talking
You're not going to have California. You're not going to have California dominate things. You're not going to have California and New York being as dominant as they are. Yes, but they're going to be. They are three states. If you take a look at Illinois, you take a look at New York, and you take a look at California. All of their power that's only 3 states out of the 50. If you think that Nebraska, Wyoming, Alaska, all right, are going to be subsumed, those are 3 states right there that aren't going to go that way. You guys are worried, and I understand your concerns because you're correct in saying that okay, we could lose these individual freedoms. That is a possibility. I'm not going to deny that. All right, but the reality is we're going to lose them anyway if we don't do something about it. And you've already seen the bulwark against that being the Supreme Court. Okay, turn right around and start taking away rights by ordering people to say, "I'm going to tell you what you have to buy."
Okay.
Okay, here's my point. A state has the right to make its own laws as long as those laws do not violate the Constitution of the United States. Like the Supreme, like the not the Supreme Court, but the court ruling just recently about how California cannot declare its entire state to be a sanctuary state.
Well, there's no way to do that because you're usurping the rights of counties.
Well, no, and I believe in the theory of nullification, which MC hates as well. I also believe secession is an option.
All right, let me ask
Thank
you
you
a
very
question.
much.
Since you want to sit up there and make that kind of claim, what would have happened if Hillary Clinton would have been elected president and you had Merrick Garland on the court?
Oh,
I think they would have drugged that person's name through the mud, just like the Dems are doing to Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Republicans lead,
It would just be another. It would be another
doesn't
series
matter.
of terms of fucking obstructionism.
I'm not talking about that. He still would have gotten on the court.
No, he wouldn't have.
Yes, he would have. He would have.
No, because we had a red wave. Besides Trump getting elected, everything else went red.
You think Merrick Garland would not have been gotten on the Supreme Court? Explain to me how you ended up with Elena Kagan and you ended up with Sotomayor.
Because that
there
was
a
Democrat control.
Senate. Yeah, you're talking about a Republican Senate. They're not going to confirm somebody like that. It's not going to happen.
They'll confirm someone like that. Do you realize that Sotomayor, I think it's Sotomayor, got 90 votes? 90 out of the 100.
No, MC has a point here.
Okay, yes, and this was right on
Hillary
the heels.
was-
No, and this
if
was
Hillary
right on
was
the
in
heels
power-
of white guilt. No.
No,
The reason she was the reason she was put into office as quickly as she was with as high as she was is it was the whole white guilt thing was at its peak at the time.
And then
in the media. Kagan was a woman. It was all the same shit. They were ramping up for Hillary to start doing the thing to start working against the Republicans.
Then explain.
It was
Ginsburg.
already being what?
Then explain Ginsburg.
How about you explain Scalia?
These
How about you
people are
explain
radical.
Roberts?
These
How
people
about you
are the
explain?
most. These
Come
people
on.
are the most radical leftists on the court. Okay, to say that that the Republicans are going to fight against that, all right, when they haven't in the past, all right, is myopic. Show me one time where the Republicans have stood against a nomination, all right, I'm talking about from a voting perspective, to stop it.
And here's the thing, MC does have a point here, because if Hillary was in office, if you go through and look throughout history, when, at least recent history, if you have a specific individual of a certain political leaning within the executive branch, even if somebody within the House or the Senate does not necessarily agree, and I'm talking specifically about a SCOTUS pick, they will generally vote for whoever they think is going to essentially not screw their next re-election campaign.
Yeah,
which
it was
is the exact reason. It's the exact reason they're trying to push off the Kavanaugh vote until after the midterm elections.
So they don't have to deal with any repercussions. Yes.
Yeah. So he does have a point there with that one, and
Yeah, well,
I think
I have to interrupt. I have to interrupt here. Kavanaugh will be confirmed. That was what you were going to say. I agree. But the thing is, the Republicans refused to even vote on Obama's last pick. They refused to even see it. So you're telling me that automatically they're all going to be like, oh, Hillary's pick's fine. Because, you know, the Republicans, they fucking love Hillary. What the fuck, MC?
Because that's what they've done in the past. If you've ever taken a look at how the Republicans in the Senate have reacted.
Oh, never mind what their current actions have been. We have to look at what they did in 98.
Their current actions are no different than the previous actions. They have the Republicans have done more to work with the Democrats to obstruct Trump at every single turn, okay, than they have to try and push his agenda forward.
Because they're more concerned about their own re-elections than they are about doing what is actually right by the people.
No, it's not. It goes even beyond that. They themselves look at the other people across the aisles, just like Flake. You want to know why Flake did what he did? It's because he believes I have more in common with the other Democrats in the Senate than I do with the people who sent me here.
No.
Well, because at the end of the day, Flake's looking for re-election.
No, he's not. Flake is retiring. Flake's. This is Flake's last term.
Yeah,
he's not going up for re-election. No, but Flake is looking for a way to make a lot of money when he's out of politics. Schmoozing up to the Democrats is the way to do this.
When I say Flake is looking for re-election, I don't mean he's looking for re-election in the literal term of he wants to get re-elected. Maybe I should rephrase it.
Yeah, because that's re-election is re-election.
Flake is looking to maintain his image. So if that means going to one side or the other, Flake does not want to be controversial. He wants to be quite literally, no, he wants to be quite literally a flake. He wants attention drawn to him, but he's not going to do anything that's going to make him look bad because let's say he goes against the popular opinion. Good luck on your Comey-esque book deal there, Flake.
Well, but no. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, all I was gonna say is the reason you see this divide is because these characters we have in office, the vast majority of them, they're not thinking about representing their constituents at this point in time. They're trying to figure out how to not piss off their political parties, not burn their careers, and once they're done sitting on Capitol Hill, figure out how to not be the laughingstock or the detested amongst the American people. It's all a game. That's really what it is. It's a political game.
It's the same world over.
It's a political game, and they're trying to figure out how to position themselves, whether they're going to run for actual re-election to try to get back a Senate or a House seat, or if they're just going to retire and then maybe go turn around and pull a Comey or a Hillary and write a fucking book.
Yeah, but you notice
who doesn't. They're trying to position themselves.
But you know who doesn't pull this shit, though? Rand fucking Paul. Oh, and he would be a libertarian if the Libertarian Party could actually fix itself. Which, yeah, you're right. The party has an issue, MC. And I'm fighting that war myself, fucking arguing for the right-leaning fucking libertarians. Let's kick these fucking leftitarians out of here because they're not here to help. They're here to co-op and try and save the Democratic Party. But we are not the same thing as the Green Party, sir. And that fucking really pissed me off.
Nor are we ever going to be something that is militaristic or disciplined the way you were talking about. There is no way to create that kind of cohesion the way you want it in a party based off of individualism, the person itself, not the ideology. Because that's the difference between a libertarian political philosophy and like a Republican or a conservative, is that you're focused on the person, not the ideology. It's more like a principle than it is a political position.
And this is what I meant about being tolerant and why I brought up the whole Comicsgate thing. Because the second that you're quote-unquote tolerant and you allow specific individuals within your party, all of a sudden now you're going to have to deal with the problem of gatekeepers. And if you allow that to happen, yeah, gatekeepers will come in, your movement will be co-opted, and the next thing you know, you're no better than the rhinos or the progressives. You will get fucked.
Yo, I had a couple seconds here. I wanted to hop on to say something real quick, right? Like, yo, because I'm a libertarian too, or I'm a Ron Paul guy. And I mean, I got pictures, you know what I'm saying, in my cars with the End the Fed bumper stickers and the Don't Steal, the government hates corruption. And I donated to all these campaigns back, you know what I mean, a few years back. Dude, we have not won one seat anywhere because we don't have a platform. Not one. We have no platform whatsoever.
Well, that's what we were just talking about, is the problem that what little platform is available has been usurped by a bunch of fucking lefties.
Yeah.
So, and my point is that it's not time for that yet.
Yeah, it is. It's been time. It's been time for like 15 years. It's been time. We
may want it to be time, but it ain't time yet. These people haven't gotten the memo yet. So until we can get them to realize that people don't care about them.
I would like to correct that. I would like to correct the record on that. It took me about 10 seconds. Nationwide, there are 106 libertarians holding elected office, 55 partisan office, 131 nonpartisan. And going through, guess what they are, MC? They're fucking city councils and shit. They're exactly what you said we weren't fucking doing, sir. Come on, man.
That's what I was saying. Look at Texas.
Show me.
Oh, I'll give you the list right
God,
now.
Give me the
right
list.
now.
Oh my God.
You can give me the list. You can put it out there.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
telling you
let
now,
them
until
go.
you guys can take control of your party's
Side
leadership,
chat.
We are not
then you don't
Republicans.
have a party. I'm not talking
We are
whether
not
you're Republican or not.
Republicans,
I don't
dude.
care if
We
you're
are
Republican. You have to
neocons. We
take
are
control.
conservatives.
Then if you guys claim to be conservatives, if you claim that
No.
you're this, then the people you elect, the people you support, the people you vote go and do something else. You're not taking responsibility and accountability, and you're using the excuse, well, I'm an individual and I couldn't do enough.
No, I never voted for any of these people because I'm an individual, and part of being a libertarian generally means you don't like to follow groups. Fuck.
You cannot like to follow groups. How far down do you want to go, though?
Follow your own group. You're supposed to follow your own group. We're libertarians. We should probably vote for libertarians.
Well, I do. When I find actual libertarians, I vote for libertarians, but I certainly don't do it through a party. I do it through each person, just like I do every other vote I make. It's not on party lines. It's on the candidate.
Whether you like it or not, individuals, all right, don't coalesce that way. That's not the way that the society works.
Are you saying we are programmed to be in groups that have others? Is that what you're saying, that we have to be part of some sort of monolith crowd?
I'm
trying to figure out what you're...
I'm saying that human beings are social creatures as well as individuals.
Yes.
And if you focus strictly on the ideas of saying the individual, what ends up happening, all right, is the leadership of the group, and the group has far more power than a coalition of individuals, right? If you
A
have
group
a dedicated,
is a coalition of people.
but a dedicated, disciplined group, right, that is very well disciplined, will always dominate a mass group of quote unquote individuals, even from the perspective of numbers.
Yeah, tell that to the American Revolution.
You can take a look at the American Revolution.
Tell that to the Gallic Empire that destroyed and defeated Rome and sent them packing.
They didn't defeat
They
Rome.
did.
No, they
did.
They did not.
When?
The Romans left. They ran away, dude.
What are you talking about?
Rome
Freaking took all of Gaul.
Rome like 3 times.
If you read freaking Caesar's freaking Gallic campaign, where he basically conquered Gaul.
Basically, no, he didn't. He said that they sent him packing like what, a year
they
later or
didn't
something like that.
send
He
him
was
packing.
fucking terrified of the Gauls.
Hey, I think Batman wants to talk.
You know,
No, it
how
was
they conquered
genocide.
the Celtic tribes in Gaul and in Britain. They divided and conquered. They played one off against the other. There was no Gallic Empire.
Well, okay, then the history I learned in school was totally wrong and never happened.
Well,
It
that's-
was.
No, and I'm going through the list, and actually, there's a shit ton of libertarians in Pennsylvania on city councils. They're kind of taking over Pennsylvania from the inside out. They're doing what you said, MC. Your criticism was poorly researched.
No, it's not poorly researched.
It is terribly researched.
No, it's not.
Weed is not the
It
only
still
thing.
comes down to whether or not your party, all right, meaning the Libertarians as a party, as a group, as the leadership goes, as the identified leadership group of the Libertarians. Okay,
You're talking about the Libertarian National fucking committee or whatever. You're talking about the whole country part. You're not talking about the local Libertarian party.
Shouted at us for, you said, okay, no, smaller government, less force, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we work at the state level like a libertarian normally would, but and then you shout at us for, what? How can we be? I don't
Wait.
understand. There's no way to succeed in this situation unless we take on conservative values and start acting like conservatives and be forceful and use law to change how things go and act like the Roman fucking
Hold
army.
on a second. Okay, I love ya. Oh, well, everybody except for Pinoid. He's an ass. Anyway,
Eat a dip.
MC, like I just said, I love ya. But you're kind of acting like Pinoid in the sense that he wants to take away women's rights based on a small group of women. You're basing your research on a small group of libertarians and are classing it to the whole of the libertarian group.
Can I say something very, very quickly? Emma, just check
Yeah.
the side chat.
Okay, okay, we're talking about two different periods of history. Okay, glad to know.
But no, I was going through that list. There's a libertarian on the city council of Bakersfield. There's a bunch of libertarians on city councils in California, Florida, Iowa, Pennsylvania really is being taken over. And I only went 5 pages into the 180 people that are there, and it's only showing 10 people at a time.
Okay.
The libertarian local parties are
You have
active.
100. You have 180. All right. Out of how many?
So what?
All right,
What
all
does
right,
the Green Party
okay.
have? What does the Constitution Party
All right.
have?
All right, yeah, these are okay. These are all local joints, right? Which, you know what I mean, I'm a fan of, you know what I mean, you fucking local politics is cool. But a lot of this is just it's really nonsense, man. A lot of this really is. This is all just kind of bullshitty.
From
I
a percentage,
don't-
MC made the point that
from
we
a
don't even have a
percentage point of view,
fucking
hold on a
dog
second.
catcher.
Here's what it is, Mad
motherfucker.
Dodge.
You
Hold
said
on,
we don't even have a
all right.
goddamn dog catcher, dude.
All right, I
Fuck you.
did say
Well, you
that.
don't need a list right
You are
there.
correct
have a dog catcher.
to harass me about that,
Wait,
about the dog
you
catcher.
do not, no, you don't have a dog catcher, just so you know.
We don't need a fucking dog catcher.
Hey!
Okay, you could harass me about that, and you're right. But here's the difference. All right, there was some of the, if you take a look at third-party movements that have happened within the United States, all right, right now the way the libertarians, and for the length of time that the libertarians have been around, okay, if you examine their power and compare it to, I don't know, like the Grangers, it's not even close.
Libertarians have been around since the 70s. How big and prolific are you expecting them to be when they're like a baby when it comes to political movements?
If you take a look at the Granger movement and how fast it grew and the kind of power that it had at its time, it's not even close at 10.
And how long did the Granger movement last?
The Granger movement only lasted like 25, 30 years.
Okay, so staying power. We should follow the model that didn't work?
You have a point about staying power, but the reality is that the libertarian movement hasn't been growing either.
Yeah, it has.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it has made extreme strides since Obama.
No, it's been shrinking since like no. What was it? 2004 was the first time that libertarians became really big on the scene, right? With Ron Paul and shit. And then 2008 was huge.
No.
2012 was less. 2016 it was even less than that.
Okay, so the Libertarian Party was a big deal in states. I don't know about anywhere, but like California and
it was big over here in 08. It was.
No, I'm talking like the
08 and
90s, dude. I'm trying to remember the other state out here. They were really big in. So
before that.
No, there was stuff before that, Tom.
No, for us, there was nothing before that.
Oh, for
like,
Pennsylvania?
Over our neck of the woods, we didn't there was. Y'all never even heard of a libertarian before Ron Paul.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's what.
Never even heard of.
The Libertarian Party has been around since the 70s.
Real quick, that's fair enough. I became a libertarian because of Ron Paul, but I also went and read shit, and actually did my homework. But I'm looking at it right now. I would like to correct you guys. The number of voters registered as independent or with other parties has increased 19%. The Libertarian Party has surged 92% in the past 10 years. 92%. That's not a growing movement, people.
Yeah,
No, that's nothing.
Dude.
That's just a blip.
Well, no, that's 2008. It has surged since 2008. Like fucking 2008, 2012. I bet you it's been on a downtick the past 10 years.
Didn't you,
No, it
didn't you
hasn't.
just say that we were getting smaller?
Yes, since 08,
fucking
08
gorilla.
and 2012. Since 08 and 2012, right, when it was a big election for libertarians. Like, it was huge. Y'all remember the buzz. Not everybody remembers that. It was huge.
2016
Like,
was
we-
a year for libertarians in Texas. It was a huge year for libertarians in Texas. They ended up with like 25% of state seats. And they were just classified as Republicans for political expedience, but it was libertarians that took those seats in Texas.
Hang on, man. I'll go back in my thing because I didn't see any seats for Texas in the fucking list of libertarians.
But it's because libertarians run as libertarians for the primary, and then they run as Republicans after they get the seat. So they get financial backing.
And that's another issue with the third party. You need to have financial backing.
That's how it's worked in Texas for a long time.
Well, that's kind of my big point about one of the major problems with politics is
the PAC system.
And not even necessarily that. I mean, yes, you're correct. I'm not going to argue against that. It's the fact of politics and finances are kind of conjoined at the hip when it comes to modern politics, and that creates a lot of inconsistencies.
Well, you know what else I would like to mention though? How about being on the debate stage, even in local elections? How about fucking the media coverage of the Libertarian Party? How is
they've
that?
been completely deplatformed. They've been completely deplatformed.
Do you remember Ron Paul's election? How often he got to talk in that debate? Do you remember?
Dude, my vote wasn't counted in my county because I voted for Ron Paul. It just wasn't counted during the primaries.
Yeah. No, that's why the Ron Paul supporters made a stink at the fucking Republican convention.
Exactly.
And they got kicked out. And they didn't even allow Ron Paul to speak.
How about this one here? In my local elections here, like fucking for the state governorship, they're only having one debate.
What?
Period.
For the governorship?
That's it. Yeah, one debate. Tom Wolf versus somebody else. I forget his name. Scott Wagner. The guy who runs fucking the waste management. And fucking they're having one debate because Tom Wolf decided he only wants to have one debate.
Well, before I got to run out of here real quick, guys and gals, because I'm fucking tolerant. But if
he's a male feminist, he's gonna rape us all, run!
Oh no! But no, if I just got to run to the gas station real quick because I need to buy a pack of cigarettes. But I just wanted to bring up one point because I've heard this brought up by several individuals, not necessarily regarding this argument, but it is relevant. If anyone thinks that financial influence is not a problem when it comes to politics, just remember this. When President Trump got elected into office and said he was only going to accept $1 of the presidential salary because he was legally obliged to, what did the media do?
They flipped out.
Does that not highlight that there is a heavy influence and, by extension, conflict of interest when it comes to politics and finance? To me, that just seems
evident,
ridiculous.
Well, no, and the only person that really that is a billionaire that supports the Libertarian Party is the Koch brothers every now and then we still get nailed on that. Not like they don't give more money to the Republicans than they do the Libertarians. Yeah, I mean it's kind of bullshit. Okay, you want us to be a party that actually makes waves, MC. But yet, at the other hand, you're fucking smacking us because it's the Koch brothers giving us a little bit of money.
Well, and then
I want us to have
I have never ever complained about the money of the Libertarians. That has never been one of my arguments, Mad Dodge, and you know it.
But there's
Can I
another
have a platform?
No.
Do we have a platform by chance? A libertarian platform?
Well, I was
like something.
Yes.
But okay, hold on. There's a side effect to this though. Do you guys forget what happened in 2011? What happened in 2011?
I forget what happened.
Janet Napolitano decided that the Tea Party conservatives were fucking what? Domestic terrorists. So a startup.
Racist.
They were racist and domestic terrorists. Okay. What did that do for, third party expansion for political parties? What did that do?
Well, yeah, no, and let's not forget, it's okay to punch Nazis and libertarians. Remember, we were through under the bus with them. I remember that shit pisses me the fuck off. So how exactly are we supposed to grow and get elected when the media is smearing us as Nazis?
Well, if you want to bring up the media, there is something very important to bring up. And you're correct. The media is definitely working against you, both from the left and the right. It's both from the left and the right, and there is evidence for this. The most prominent evidence would be look at the quote-unquote the journalist group on Facebook, where they were trying to promote Obama, and if anybody went against Obama, their literal strategy was anyone that goes against Obama, just brand them a racist. Once that information was leaked, they completely destroyed that Facebook group and then created a new one called the Cabal. And these were all editors, writers. I won't call them journalists because that would be far too generous. But that was essentially their strategy. They're all collaborating with each other. They're all connected. They're all talking. And if you go against someone like Obama, well, you must be a fucking racist. If you go against Hillary, you must be a sexist. That's their strategy. You're telling me the media doesn't have any kind of political motivations or any kind of bias? Yeah, I find that very hard. I find that pill very hard to swallow.
Well, no, and I'll give you Exhibit A. John Stossel, as soon as he became a libertarian, guess who was no longer working at ABC?
Yeah, his career almost died from becoming a libertarian. Like, it cost him a lot of money to choose a political party. I couldn't believe how bad that was. It was incredible to me to watch.
Well, again, like I said earlier, the idea of tribalism has managed to completely undermine what our political system should stand for. It's not about the interest of the constituents. It's not about the government representing its constituents. It's not about, your personal representative actually representing you. It has quite literally turned into a business. And
why do you keep saying why does everybody keep saying this word tribalism like it's a fucking pejorative? Dude, you're supposed to be tribalist.
Because you're only supposed to be tribalistic to a certain extent, Tom. The problem is that tribalism also breeds hate, and hate is dangerous.
That's fine.
Like nationalism.
That's not a bad thing. No, that's not a bad thing. Look, you're supposed to be tribalistic with the individuals who around you, so you protect yourself. You're supposed to be that way. Like, how are you going to protect your community if you're not tribalist?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Tribalism was useful in an ancient time, but as we develop nations,
it's still useful today.
Not useful now because you get tribalism within nations. You'll get people from one state or even smaller, one county, who will want nothing to do with anybody from the neighboring county or the neighboring state.
That's a good thing.
No, it's not.
I'll explain it. I'll explain it. When I say tribalist, I don't mean being tribalistic in the terms that you're looking after your own self-interest. When I say tribalism, and as it's manifested itself in its current state, which is where we found ourselves, it's not about like, look, I would highly recommend you looking out for your own self-interest. That's only natural. That's what you should do. I mean, you shouldn't throw yourself under the proverbial bus. Don't do that.
Yeah. The moment somebody brings tribalism, the next words that get brought up are, oh, you know, we're all gonna be all gonna be nice brown colors someday, and we're just all gonna meld together, and nobody's ever gonna be any different. That's fucking bullshit. It's dumb. It's a thought process. I fucking hate it, and I'm fighting against it as much as possible.
I understand your point. I get where you're coming from. What I'm trying to explain is when I say tribalism, what I mean is adhering to an ideology or a mindset with simply just looking like, oh, it's us versus them. It's the left versus right. Without having any kind of consideration to what's actually being said. It's just like, okay, let's say
That's how I do.
I'm sorry. My problem with that terminology, though, is that it is quite most often used to stifle debate.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so let me use a different term then. Rather than say adhering to the idea of tribalism, blind adherence to an ideology without exercising your own personal belief system.
Show me where that's been done.
There's plenty of people I know that have voted for Trump and voted for Hillary that have absolutely no idea what either of them stand for.
Warfox.
Yeah, it's like in my part of the United Kingdom, you could put a German Shepherd up for election to Parliament if it has a Labour rosette on it.
Well, no, and that's my point, MC. You want a convention of states. Who are they going to vote as delegates to go to this convention? The people don't care about politics. If they did, the political side of YouTube would be far bigger.
If you created a convention of states, okay, which is something completely novel, all right, the very fact that it's something that people haven't seen before, the very fact that it's something that people don't know of before, even as part of being in the thing, will cause them to start to investigate it a little bit more. I think you'll have a lot more interest and a lot more participation on a local grassroots level from a convention of states than you would, all right, what we have currently going on.
Right.
I actually agree with MC on that one.
I think I'm going to drop out. The conversation's gone too far into American politics for me to contribute anything constructive.
So sorry, Ben.
Don't worry about it.
I get you.
Hey, you guys take care of yourselves.
Hey, Batman, before you run, if you manage to capture Harley Quinn and throw her into Arkham Asylum, can you give me that key?
I'll give you one of my spares.
Sounds good.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, dude.
Later, Batman.
Bye.
All right, so MC, man, I mean, really, if you want a third party in this country and you want a smaller government, why are you going to slam the only party that actually has a chance to establish itself, especially while the Democratic Party is splitting at the seams?
I don't see them taking the Democratic Party votes.
You don't think Gary Johnson got a shitload of the votes from the Democratic Party that he got? Almost 2 million.
I think that the vast majority of those were from Republicans, not from freaking Democrats.
But Cass, you said you wanted to join this argument. Go ahead and jump in.
I would just like to bring up the libertarian argument because I think there's a critical point that a lot of people completely glossed over. I kind of mentioned it on the chat, but I think a huge reason why the libertarians don't tend to be very successful in politics has more to do with the fact that as a libertarian philosophy, they're not really big on centralization. And when we're talking about politics in the sense of Republicans and Democrats and shit, it's a little difficult to justify centralizing when all the other groups that are about libertarianism really despise centralization under a banner of any kind.
Actually, Cass has a very, very good point. If you are going to run a political platform based upon individualism, when you're going up against two extremely centralized, well-established political parties, you're going to have a hard time gaining traction.
And one of the common things people don't understand is that there's a shit ton of libertarian groups, and all of them are always at war with each other. at some level. They can't agree.
Well, no. Look at the Cato Institute and the Mises Institute, for instance.
Exactly.
And that represents the right and left wing of the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
And I side with Mises on most issues. I do watch the Cato Institute stuff or read their papers, but I side with the Mises Institute usually. But I mean, also, I brought it up when you weren't even here, MC, so I'm going to bring it up again. Austrian economics, anybody? You know, libertarians gave you nothing. Come on, dude.
What have they given us?
What?
I'm dead serious. When you guys talk about libertarians and you start taking a look at the movement as it exists, okay, they have the libertarian movement has more than anything else, all right, been a detriment to the country.
And I guess you could make the argument that the libertarian movement has managed to stifle both the Democrats and the Republicans without.
It didn't stifle the Democrats, and that's my point.
Well, I guess you could also make the argument that the Democrats pretty much stifled themselves.
In this last
yeah, but how can you then
go back to the
1970s?
Huh?
No, how can you then link the Libertarian and the Green Party? Because the Green Party is a split off from the Democratic Party, while the Libertarian is pretty much a split off from the Republican.
No, you can try and make that claim, yeah, but it's not accurate necessarily. All right, and when you start talking,
Murray Rothbard,
hold on
anybody?
a second, because you're not letting me finish. When you start talking about and you start examining what the power of, right now, it has been pointed out that libertarians have been around since the 1970s, and I wasn't exaggerating when I sit up there and said that I've looked into this. I looked into becoming a libertarian, but the first thing that you come across right off the bat is the fact that their focus, okay, is on what their primary focus had been and continues to be on the drug war. Sit up there saying, okay, well, we're going to sit up there and fight against want marijuana to the exclusion of almost everything else. If you go back and you start taking a look at what their party has done and what from a what do you call it, platform level, okay, it's always been pushing that. But that doesn't frickin' do the one thing that needs to happen that you are claiming is part of the Libertarian Party, which is the shrinking of the federal power and shrinking of the federal government. They will sacrifice that aspect of that wing of the party in a frickin' heartbeat, and they've done it repeatedly.
If you're talking about the context of the current Libertarian Party that is supposedly tries to be a voice of libertarians, technically you can argue yes, although most libertarian groups do not follow that particular libertarian thing because, you know, again, about decentralization and centralization, they just do not agree, especially some of the philosophies. I will say, however, that does gloss over a lot of what libertarian philosophy is, which argues for favor of less government and more free market than anything else, more laissez-faire, which is the argument they always, most of them anyway, run under. Which is
whether you like it or not, though, that's just a traditional freaking conservative argument.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah, there is, which explains why. Well, why else do you think there's right wing and left wing libertarians then?
Well, you can claim that, but well, once again, if you start taking a look at what the effect has been since the 1970s, all right, the libertarians, all right, have not sit up there and coalesced. They've only focused on a single issue. Since the 1970s, if they were a building party, if they were concentrating as they should have been, okay, they would have sit up there and taken over whole sections and whole cities. Oh, well, we have a council member here and there. Congratulations. Have you taken over a city? Have you taken over a state? Do you have a state legislature where you have a major presence of, let's say, 30 or 40%?
Does any other third party? Does the Green Party? Does the Constitutional Party? Any of these others? There's
at one point, you could take a look at Ross Perot and his party, where they took over the entire state of Minnesota. Have you accomplished that even?
Well, so you have to admit, it's not going to be easy to gain political power if the position of your party is individualism and against centralism.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Is we're arguing all about these accomplishments when, to a libertarian mindset, the idea of political parties and stuff like that is a foreign concept to them. They don't believe in change through a political party. They just see it as pointless tribalism and overexertion of power.
Okay, so it goes down to a pox on both sides and nothing changes.
Not necessarily, because they have pushed their ideals, and we have gotten some spotlights on us, and we have been able to showcase what our platform is. And
your primary platform has to be, if what you're saying is true, has to be, all right, a reduction in power of the federal government or whatever oppressive government there is. And when you accomplish something like that, you let me know.
That's why I've made the argument that don't campaign on a platform of groupthink. Definitely campaign on a platform of individualism. And the number one thing you could do is, if you really wanted to gain traction, campaign on a platform of upholding the Constitution in its most original and truest form.
Which is generally what libertarians tend to advocate for.
If their tendencies were that, then the party would not have come out against frickin' Kavanaugh.
I still find it very strange that anyone within the Libertarian Party would come out against Kavanaugh. I find that very odd.
It was fucking Nicholas Sarwick, dude, and he's a fucking cunt. Nobody in the fucking party likes this guy. I don't know how he keeps fucking making it as the fucking head of the party. I don't get it.
I understand that completely, which I think the guy is completely undermining the entire fundamental principle of what it means to be a libertarian. I think he's a complete travesty to the entire ideal of individualism, free thought. He seems like just somebody else who, to be blunt,
rein in your party when it's at this size, when it's small, if you can't even control who the leadership is, what hope is there for the Libertarian Party?
Oh, and this is exactly what I meant earlier when I stated, if you want to be quote unquote tolerant, and this is the major problem with the Libertarian Party. If you want to be tolerant and you want to embrace all viewpoints, you will at some point be infiltrated by someone who seeks nothing more than to undermine you.
Which is a reason why most libertarians don't support the Libertarian Party, and why they also have a problem with these party politics in general.
Well, no, I don't consider myself a libertarian, and why I consider myself a constitutionalist. I recognize at least this much.
Yeah.
Yes, I might be a constitutionalist. I could easily be considered a libertarian, considering my personal viewpoints. But at the end of the day, there is the left and there is the right, and there's really no escaping that, considering the current environment. So,
no, there's authoritarianism and there's individualism. That's what there is.
Oh, really? Show me the individualism on the left.
And that's why they're at the authoritarian end. Than the Republicans. But show me a Republican that wants to limit government. Show me one that doesn't fucking say he will and then go into office and fucking increase government. Show me Ronald Reagan. Oh, wait, he fucking increased government, didn't he?
Well, how did he increase government?
How did he? He increased military spending. He increased the budget
military spending at a time period when the U.S. military was in a heck of a lot of trouble. Right? That's not necessarily increasing the size.
How much do you need to spend?
What's more is that who was in charge of the purse strings?
I know who's in charge of the purse strings. I got it, man. But the people are too stupid to stop voting. The same idiots did, even with the 10% fucking approval rating. So show me how a libertarian can break through
sit
that
up there
wall.
and say this individual's responsible when the very group that's responsible are the Democrats, and they were in charge during the entire time of the Reagan administration.
Read my lips. No new taxes. Oh,
okay,
wait.
so George Bush stood up there and said, "Read my lips. No new taxes." When he was supposed to fight against the Democrat Congress, he refused to do it and served how many terms as president?
See, the thing is, I mean, don't get me wrong, MC. I'm not agreeing with everything that you're saying, but I understand what you're saying and why you're saying it. I will say personally, I did not like Bill, I did not like Bush, and I did not like Obama. I do not regret voting for Trump.
Well,
So,
I don't regret voting for Gary Was Aleppo Johnson, even though he was a douchebag. He would have been fucking a better choice, in my opinion, still. Would I vote for him again if he tried to run again? No, you're killing my party. Get out.
Yeah, see, the thing I have to ask real quick is, what exactly is the point of kicking down the Libertarian Party when they themselves are not going to be able to get the same attention or power that the left and right has when we already live in a two-party system where a third-party vote basically just means you're throwing your vote in the trash?
I hate that fucking argument. I really goddamn do. No, it doesn't. If everybody fucking looked at the party's platform and the individuals' positions and voted their conscience, then you could vote for fucking, you could have 5, 6, 7 parties and you can make a real fucking change in this country. I hate that fucking argument. I'm not going to vote Republican just because I hate Democrats. Not going to fucking do it.
That's not what I'm advocating
You're going to turn a blind eye to the authoritarianism that's going around because you're so worried about authoritarianism. Congratulations.
How am I turning a blind eye by voting my conscience?
How exactly are you turning a blind eye to authoritarianism exactly? Especially when both sides do engage in a
throw away your vote, all right? Especially when it comes down to either holding one side accountable or another side accountable, and you intentionally vote and say, well, I'm voting my conscience. You know, I'm voting this. I won't vote a Republican because I'm a libertarian. And you turn right around and say that this is voting your conscience, and you watch what the leadership of the party that you gave your vote to act the way they did, then you're voting for authoritarianism. I'm sorry. And you're doing it intentionally, and you're using the excuse, I voted my conscience.
Okay, I'll make this argument. On a local level, like on a very, very, very local level, on the smallest level of representative government, you can vote for a third party, and you can make a grassroots difference. But if you're talking about voting for the presidency, the House, or the Senate, you have to choose between the lesser of two evils.
No,
that's just the way.
The lesser of two evils is still evil. I refuse. I will vote.
Just the way it That's just the way it currently exists, though, because unless you do make a difference on the local level,
voting the other way, it will always exist this way. Do you not get that?
The problem you're having is that we currently live in a two-party system. You're going to have to convince people to add additional parties and make it into an additional party system, like 3 or 4.
Oh, and that's what I mean by when you vote locally. If you vote locally and you can bring a third party to actually win some of these local elections, you can scale it up. But it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. In the meantime, under the system that we currently reside in, you are going to have to choose between blue or red. That's just the way the system currently works.
Which is why I think that you got to start a grassroots movement for a convention of states to end the power of the federal government, because if you don't do it, it'll be too late. And the only way to redress it at that point is going to be through violent revolution.
And I can understand why you would make that argument.
How many states have already said they want a convention?
11.
11 out of 50? I'm not Obama. I know there's not 51. All right.
Well, that's the thing. I would actually encourage everyone who holds any of these viewpoints, be it Libertarian, Green Party, and anyone who's fed up with the red versus blue, start with the local level. Change it. I'm not talking about your state governor, your state senate, anything like that. Okay. Start with just your county and vote for the person that you think best represents and best holds your values.
There has to be something else that people have to look at, though. And this is one of the reasons why I did this. I didn't really explicitly make this point, and I should have. Right now, the one thing that you can't do, if you want your party to sit up there and grow, all right, the one thing you cannot tolerate is corruption within the party. You've got to, if you want your party to go in the direction you want it to do, then you have to be able to step in and be willing to step in, all right, and put a stop to that corruption as quickly as possible. And if you turn a blind eye to that corruption, you're going to go down the same problem that the Republicans have, and you go down the same problem, all right, that the Democrats have had for a long time. Now, the advantage the Republicans have, the reason the Republicans have less corruption within their own party structure isn't because they're generically predisposed to being less corrupt. No, it's because the press was willing to call out their corruption in favor of the Democrats at every opportunity. So you couldn't. So the spotlight was on them more often, and that prevented a lot of the corruption. There is no spotlight though on the libertarians as a whole right now, because they're just totally being ignored. And what's worse is you're getting more and more and more corrupt. And then when this is pointed out, what you get is excuse after excuse after excuse as to why I should be voting for the frickin', I'm still going to vote for Aleppo Gary, even though you watch the corruption within your own frickin' party.
Okay, I'm going to make a statement that might or might not win me any points, but I'll make it because I feel like it needs to be said. When it comes down to this kind of argument, you can't be tolerant. You cannot be tolerant of all viewpoints. You cannot be tolerant of all values. I'm not saying you need to look at someone and say, oh, you're this ethnicity or this religion or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you cannot be tolerant of all ideologies, because you will be infiltrated and you'll be undermined, and your movement, whatever it stands for, it'll be completely and utterly destroyed, because there will be people who will co-opt your movement or intentionally infiltrate it in an attempt to destroy it, because you are, to them, a threat. You cannot be tolerant. If they do not hold the same values that you do, why would you allow them into your movement in the first place?
I would say, from what I've seen from libertarianism, that's already a case where, like, they're not tolerant of certain ideas that are completely contrary to them. Hell, they're not really tolerant to each other. It's a reason why they've always bicker amongst themselves, because libertarian is literally just a giant collection of different libertarian ideologies always bashing each other in the heads with their different flags, because they just can't agree, which is why they always fail in a larger sense of politics, because of the fact that they're very in favor of decentralization and not centralization. They can't come together as one, because that validates their own principles. And let's be honest, libertarians are more they always focus on attacking each other as who is the true libertarian. Oh, it's not the ANCAPs, it's not this cap, it's not this or this or this. You have to be a certain way or this or that, and they're always at war with each other. You're never going to see.
The thing. There needs to be a fundamental underlying mindset, a fundamental underlying belief system that is unquestioned. I'll use a few extreme examples. I'm Catholic, and because I want to be quote unquote tolerant, I'm going to accept somebody in who believes in, Sharia law. Let's just go with that one. Or let's say I believe in capitalism, but I'm going to accept the ideology of someone who believes in communism. It fundamentally goes against the principles that your group has at its core. You need to have a well-established principle, I'll even go as far as to say a well-established set of morals. That's what your group needs to focus on. Just like how I argue, if you are an American citizen, you need to believe in the Constitution, because if you don't, well, then you don't believe in what the American Constitution stands for. I believe that to be un-American. That is my core belief system.
Yeah,
you need to have a core belief system.
Not just in a political sense, but in a everyday social sense too. There has to be a level of discipline and dedication to the ideas you believe in, which is unfortunately not what people have nowadays in this country.
Okay,
you need to have a core belief system. If you do not have a core belief system, you will be co-opted and you will be destroyed and undermined from the inside out.
Well, no,
that is Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals 101. That is
no,
literally the first rule.
Yeah. I'm reading the chat here. Jacob says, Mad Dodge, tell Doku I agree with him. So he's following along with you. Up a little bit. Jacob. Tim of the Hun said the Comcast guy fucked up her internet. That's why she left. I thought she might have left because Penoid was here. So I thought maybe that was it. But I
was
guess
hoping
not. So
both Atema and Penoid to be here because I would actually like to have that conversation with them about this. I guess not.
But okay, so 11 states want a convention. All right, MC, how are you going to convince the rest of them?
You got to sit up there and create. They're going to have to do it at a grassroots level, one at a time. If your state, if you're part of a state that hasn't already said, okay, we want to be part of the convention of states, then you need to sit up there and start advocating within your state, within the local politics, to try and gin up that kind of support, so that you can create the convention of states.
Okay, but the thing is, MC, we are political animals, all right? We argue politics every day. And even when we're not live on air, we're in Discord talking about politics, all right? That's what we do. The rest of America, they just stare at their fucking iPhone and go have a latte, dude. They don't give a shit. How are you going to create a grassroots movement for a convention of states that could throw out the Constitution and write a new one? If you can't get a
convention of states to go, then there's absolutely no hope for the Libertarian Party.
Why does that have to be the Libertarian issue? Why aren't you yelling at your own party?
Thing. If you can't get a grassroots movement together, right, that can put this stuff together, and the reason that I'm saying this, and the reason I keep trying to focus on this and bring it up, is because while you're busy arguing with me about this, federal power is increasing. The danger to all of this is the increase in federal power. And while you're arguing to me about, oh, well, we've got to stop this. We got to stop that. I'm worried about what a convention of states will mean. And I'm against doing things like that because bad things could happen out of it. Meanwhile, bad things are happening daily, all right, with the increase in federal power.
How do you think you create a political discord? You have a political discussion. You have people like me and other libertarians like Tom Woods and everybody else fucking arguing about it all the time.
And I watch what you've done with your party and your party's leadership betray everything that you say that it stands for, okay? And what was the consequence of that? Well, I mean, we'll make excuses for them. Did you hold them accountable? Did you demand go on Twitter and demand that this idiot get voted out of office?
Matter of fact, I think Nicholas Sarwick has me blocked. I went fucking after him. Yeah, damn right I did, MC.
Did you really just think that a lot of libertarians let the Libertarian Party go with excuses and shit? No, I've seen plenty of their own side eat each other.
Show me where they're being held accountable. Your leadership isn't being held accountable.
Ironically, you could make the argument that one of the biggest threats to any third-party movement would be the fact that the vast majority of communication takes place on social media platforms, and censorship would easily be the biggest stymie to any grassroots movement.
Well, at this point in time, with the way things are, you are correct. With the way the current situation. The biggest threat to all third-party movements, however, are the two main parties. Mainly because what they'll do is they will subsume. Normally, what happens to third-party movements is they eventually get subsumed by one of the two larger parties. It doesn't always happen. You wouldn't have a Republican Party if that was the case. All right, but that is the normal aspect of how our system functions. Okay, but what you're dealing right now with libertarians. While I agree with a lot of the stated goals, especially the one where you got to reduce federal power, I don't see them helping with that. I don't see a limitation being placed on federal power as it currently exists. And the federal government right now is at a point where, yes, you are correct. The representatives of the people that you're sending to Congress, are not reducing federal power. And that's both parties are at that point. Okay, if the federal power, if you can't get your own representatives that you're sending there to take care of this, then the only chance you had, all right, was through the judiciary. The last chance for the judiciary went right out with Obamacare. As soon as they sit up there and said, you know what, we as the judiciary say that Obamacare is constitutional. Right there, you've thrown out the Constitution. You just broke the Constitution. At that point, the only thing that's peaceful to fix the government right now that's left to us is a convention of states. And all I keep hearing is whining and crying about, oh, that's dangerous. Oh, that's dangerous. What do you think of a Supreme Court that's willing to sit up and say, I can tell you what to buy and when to buy something is like? That's constitutional. And you're worried about, oh my God, the structure of the government might be in trouble?
You don't think that law will be challenged again and brought back to the Supreme Court?
That goes down the worst path out there, which is we don't trust our elected officials, so let's go and litigate it through the least representative function within the U.S. government.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be the overseers of the other two branches. That's their point.
They are supposed to be the weakest of the three branches. And what's happening right now is one political party has realized that they can utilize that to enforce and do legislation from the bench. And what you just suggested was, let's do it some more. Let's just put our guys in there to do it some more. The worst thing that this whole thing with Kavanaugh is the reason the leftist is trying to push Kavanaugh out is because he has said that he will adhere to the Constitution. They don't give a shit about anything else. And what you want to do now is make the whole judiciary political?
The judiciary, it's always been political, man. Look at the Dred Scott decision.
Not like it is right now. There is a difference between adherence to the Constitution or non-adherence to the Constitution. And what you've done now with the way parties have gone about it, ever since Ted Kennedy, all right, made this a point. Okay, Ted Kennedy's the one that broke it more than anyone else because he went after Bork strictly on political lines. Prior to that, they would sit up there and say, is this man worthy, yes or no, regardless of what his political affiliation was, all right, to being on the Supreme Court. The only other time that there was a danger to the court in a similar manner was when the Democrats once again were trying to pack the court system by saying, you know what, I control two branches of the legislature. What I'll do is I'll change the number of people that on the Supreme Court so I can pack the court, which was done under Roosevelt. All right, that was the only other time that, from a political standpoint, that you had this kind of crap going on.
Well, no, I wouldn't be asking him questions about farting and how many beers he has a night. I'd be asking him, okay, are you do you believe the Constitution it's written and that's what it means, or do you believe in the living Constitution? And if he said the living Constitution, I'd vote no. That's what I would ask him.
Well, great. That's great for you, but that's not what your representatives did, though, did they?
Actually, this is a point I made earlier. If there was any honesty behind the situation looking into Kavanaugh, they wouldn't be looking at his fucking yearbook or how many beers he drank. They'd be looking at his judicial reasonings and why he decided the way he did. And how did you interpret the law? How did you interpret the Constitution? Is there any reason to think that you're not going to uphold the Constitution of the United States, or are you going to interpret the law based upon some kind of political bias? Because if the answer is yes, you're not fit to be a SCOTUS justice.
Unfortunately, I think this is just the problem with the current party system as it is, because it kind of enforces that kind of mindset. Be like, oh, we have a political opponent that's going to take this particular Senate thing. We're going to fuck him up for him by bringing up shit he supposedly did years ago, which is an unfortunate consequence that I'm not going to deny both sides in some level throughout the years have pretty much done that shit.
And that's what's incredibly...
But you haven't. See, that's the other thing. It hasn't been that way from both parties. All right, you did not see that with Elena Kagan. You did not see that same kind of level. All right, from the Republican, the quote unquote, both these two major parties. You've only seen it from one party, and then I hear the tar and feathering what both parties are doing, a pox on both houses, and you go off claiming to some kind of higher morality because I put a pox on both houses. Rather than stand up and go, you know what? These guys were way out of control at the very beginning. Nobody else stood against them.
Well, and this is what's incredibly worrisome, and this is why Republicans are being complacent and they're being idiots, and Democrats are overreaching to potentially a detrimental extreme. The job of the Supreme Court is not to be political. It's to uphold the Constitution of the United States. If you're going to turn the SCOTUS into a political entity, not only are you undermining the purpose of the Supreme Court, you're undermining the Constitution itself by extension.
Well, again, that's the problem when you have political sides. People are going to do it one way or another.
This is exactly what I mean. This is exactly what I mean when I say I hate the idea of tribalism. It has nothing to do with what might normally be interpreted as tribalism. It's the fact of whether you're going to hold an opinion one way or the other based upon a political party. That is a very, very, very fucking dangerous thing to do.
Well,
I want to bring this was a question asked to me almost a year ago by Big Fat Brian. And it's on the topic of abortion, which I know is a touchy subject.
Yeah.
I will say this much. Do I support abortion? No, I don't support abortion, and I don't agree with it. But I'm not going to sit there and say that somebody can choose to do something when it's not me. I don't support it. I don't agree with it. But I'm not going to tell someone what they can or cannot do because that is not my place.
Well, to me, that statement sounds like this. I don't support, murdering your wife, but if you were to murder your wife, who am I to tell you that you can't murder your wife? That's what it sounds like to me. I do take a firm stance on abortion.
Well, and see, this is my point. I don't support it. I don't agree with it. And this is the reason I also hate Planned Parenthood. I don't like the fact that there's federal funding going to Planned Parenthood knowing that they provide abortions. I don't support it. I do not agree with it. But it's not my place to tell somebody what they can or cannot do. But at the same time, we are definitely walking a tightrope when we're stating, should it just be completely outlawed? I'll put it to you this way. If my wife was going to die, I'm not sure exactly what I would do. Do I want to keep my wife around?
No, but see, you're in
if
that
she
quandary.
dies,
You're in
if
that
she
quandary,
dies, she dies, my child might die.
Right, but that's why you're in that quandary. You're in that quandary because of saying, okay, is it life or isn't life? Do you protect life or don't you protect life? All right, yes, there's going to be Faustian choices where you can save one, but you can't save both. All right, then it's just a matter of, okay, whichever one's chosen, it's a Faustian choice, all right, between saving one or saving the other or letting both die. Okay, you're just choosing a choice there, right? But if you come back and say abortion is to say that's equivalent to abortion, then what you're basically saying is you don't know when life begins. And we have yet to establish, all right, within our society of when life begins, because everyone keeps running into, well, I don't want to have to tell somebody when life begins. Why? Why is this so difficult for us to establish as a society when life begins or when something is alive or not alive? Because then then you can sit up there and say, okay, here's where the dividing line is. That's all you've had. That's all anybody's ever had to do. You're still going to end up with a Faustian choice from time to time. When people
this is exactly my point. Is that my point is this: I do not know what the right answer is, and it is okay to not know what the right answer is. It is something that should be discussed more. It's something that we should not shy away from. This is a discussion we should be having with the utmost importance.
Okay, how can you have that discussion in the United States? All right, when that was not determined with the discussion, this was determined through the courts.
Well, no, and the thing is, though, even legally, this is a really great subject. Like, I've made this argument when Voice of One and I did a debate on abortion. Okay, a woman's driving to the abortion clinic. She gets hit by a drunk driver. Guess what? And he kills her and the baby. Guess what he gets? 2 counts of murder. She was on her way to go get rid of said baby. Why should he get 2 counts of murder? Legally, this is a gray fucking area, and it's ridiculous.
It's definitely not an easy question, and I'm glad you also brought that up, because the other, not necessarily the same argument, but an example is when on the topic of gay marriage. I don't think the state should have the right to say whether you can or cannot get married if you're a gay couple. The only person that has that right is if you're the pastor or the church. It's separation of church and state in the most literal sense. If the person, the pastor, bishop, whatever, or minister, whatever, if they're going to perform the ceremony and they agree to it, then hey, congratulations, you're getting married.
That's ignoring reality. That's ignoring human reality.
And this is my point, though. It should not be something that's left up to the state.
It has to be left up to the state.
No, screw that. No, fuck that.
No, it has to be left up to the state. And here's what I mean by that. Okay. There is societies that have attempted to outlaw marriages, to sit up there and say marriages don't exist. All right? That if you want to sit up here and go do your own thing with each other, go do your own thing with each other, there's not going to be a social construct, all right, on which it's going to be recognized. And those societies fall apart. And
regardless, it's always going to be a social construct one way or the other. My point is separation of church and state.
Then at which point no, because this people that don't have a religion, all right, still have to follow within this social construct.
No, you can go get a civil union. If you want to go through the state, you can go through the state. But if you want a marriage, you can go through a church.
Well, but if you're going through the state, then you're authorizing the state to issue that kind of power.
Yeah, and that's called a civil union. The thing is, my
called
argument,
a civil union or whether it's called a marriage or anything else, you're still granting that power to the state.
Now, my argument is the state should have, and I think this is an argument that you would agree with, the state should have as little power as possible.
I would agree with that.
So if the church tells you no, you can either A, go get a civil union and say fuck the church and just go get a civil union, or you can go find a church that will marry you as a gay couple. There's your fucking options. There's a
third option. You can just get a friend of yours to get ordained online. It takes about 10 minutes and it's free, and then they're legally able to marry you. Like,
once again, that's official state recognition.
Yeah, no, and I'm actually ordained, so I did do that because a friend of mine wanted me to, do the marriage for him.
It still comes down to the power. The states have that power. You're still granting the power to the state.
And see, that's what I don't like about it. I don't think it should be any concern of the state, period. End of story.
It has to be a concern of the state because from a societal standpoint, it has to exist. This is what I'm trying to say. Whether you want it to be or not, there are certain aspects, there's certain fundamental aspects of humanity, all right, that force these things on people.
I mean, I know it's idealistic of me to say, and I'm very well aware of that. I'm just saying I don't agree with it. I don't like that reality. I understand it's necessary to some degree.
Then you're complaining about something that you know is necessary, even though it's just because you don't like it.
Well, government is a necessary evil. You just need to keep it as small as possible. So all these issues should be at the state level. I hope that's what you mean when you say the state, MC, not the federal government.
Well, when I'm talking about the state in this case, I'm talking about the state as a social construct, not necessarily in any specific dynamic of federal power or state power as we recognize it. I'm talking about the generic whole.
Yeah, but especially when it comes to the abortion debate, Roe v. Wade should be overturned. It should be kicked down to the states. Yeah,
well, Roe v. Wade should be kicked down to the people's representatives. The people should have been the ones making the decision as to when life begins and when the innocent deserve protection as a follow-on of that. Okay, that's the problem you have right now, is because people have said, well, life doesn't begin until someone's born, and that was determined by 7 justices on the Supreme Court.
Well, no, and if it was determined by each state, yeah, you can't get an abortion in Mississippi. You can go up to Iowa and probably get one. It's a short drive, but if you're willing to kill your kid, maybe you think about it on the fucking drive over. Maybe you change your mind. Maybe they should show you the ultrasound before they perform the fucking operation, I guess, procedure, what have you. Maybe, you should think twice before you end a human life. That's all I'm saying. I don't mind the states making the decision on it.
Okay, and that's my thing. I'm using controversial subjects as an example. My point that I'm trying to make is there should not be a totalitarian ruling on things like this. But also by the same token, yeah, like you said, okay, I live in one state, literally a state. Like I live in Virginia. Virginia doesn't allow gay marriage, but Maryland does. Okay, if I want to get married, I can drive to Maryland. If we can, and I think MC would agree with this, if we can reduce the amount of oversight that federal government has and put it on as small of a scale as possible. I mean, hell, let's reduce it to fucking, county by county. If we can do that, I would much prefer that as opposed to complete federal oversight. Yeah, at least it's less totalitarian or authoritarian than the alternative.
Okay, I agree with that. Now here's the question: how do we get there?
That is a question that I do not have an answer to, aside from a straight grassroots movement. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, you argue and you change people's opinions. That's what politics is an argument. You have two different sides to the coin, and they argue.
Is you have a group of people that are using the power of the federal government, that are using the power of the state and the social dynamics to eliminate free speech, to eliminate that conversation. And the power of the federal government is growing and growing.
And I think that's the point. There's three major obstacles that need to be overcome, and they've become extremely powerful over the past 30, 40 years. The first one is you're talking about legacy media and the fact that it's essentially been cornered by a very one-sided, politically biased group of individuals, which brings me to option number two. Problem number two. It's very expensive to even try to break into that environment and actually gain any sort of traction. And the third is censorship. You don't even necessarily need any amount of money to open a Twitter account, but hey, say one wrong thing and boom, you're fucking gone. You're banned. You're out.
Yeah, even if you're Roseanne Barr, yeah. But no, I think we've hit 3 hours now. MC, final comments. Did Atema and I sway you at all? You still stand by your statements? You know we're gonna be cool after all this. We were cool before it. So just
I stand by my statements, except for the one about the dog catcher. I was just being a little bit hyperbolic with that. I'll take that part back, but that's it. If you guys can't control your movement, how the hell are you going to grow it?
It's a valid question.
No, fair enough. Like I said, we're wrapping up. Any last thoughts there, Doku?
My only final thoughts are, I mean, I stand by everything I said. I think what we're really going to have to ask ourselves, regardless of our disagreements or our agreements, is how do we move forward from here as a society and actually try to, better ourselves as a society and our belief systems and break away from this, left versus right dynamic and tribalism, and more specifically, break away from what has essentially become a business. And I don't even consider it politics anymore. It's a fucking business.
No, and my final thoughts are this. MC, I disagree with a lot of what you said in your rant. The only thing I do agree with is the Libertarian Party is being co-opted by leftist individuals, and it's tearing the party apart at the seams. We have a lot of infighting, and that is a big problem when it comes to gaining ground. I showed you proof that we do have city councilors. We are making a grassroots effort. So I would ask you to review that list again, and maybe you'll come to a different conclusion. Other than that, it's been fun. Good night, good luck, and don't move to France. We're out of here, guys.